Festivities underway for the Sue Bird Jersey Retirement Ceremony. And now let's welcome our co-host for the festivities. She is one of the greatest women's soccer players of all time, and he is Get on your feet and make some noise for the two-time NCAA national champion, the five-time Olympic gold medalist, 13-time WNBA All-Star, the all-time assist leader in WNBA history, and a four-time World WNBA champion with your Seattle Storm. Let's hear it for number 10, Sue Bird.
Seattle! I said Seattle!
Hey-yo!
Man, I'm glad I'm wearing sunglasses, because that intro,
I'm gonna need them. I'm gonna need them every time I have to speak.
I got goosebumps. I had tears in my eyes. I was like, Ben, pull it together, okay? I am truly honored to be here today, and we are here to celebrate this moment, and it's bigger than all of us. A true Seattle icon. A legend whose legacy expands way beyond our city. And I sit here watching the game next to her today, and I'm watching the game, and I'm with my daughter, and I'm with my niece. And I feel just this heart of the ripples of change that you have given the world of basketball, of women's basketball. Something to rally behind. And I think about the thoughts that my daughter's having and what that impact might mean to her life. And we never know the people that we impact. But I know that you're human is what I'm the most impressed by. You know, and I'm supposed to say all the accolades and how many WNBA championships you won, which is 4, okay? It's 4. That's crazy. 5-time Olympic gold medalist, okay? It's crazy.
Yeah, yo.
Okay? But when we do something that is bigger than us, it exceeds all the medals, it exceeds all the championships. It touches the lives and the hearts of the people. And we see ourselves in you, all the hours that you put in your life to perfect your craft, the way that you stood up for equality, for justice, for being a voice. That's what I look up to you the most. And it is just history here today in Seattle, and it's because of you. So honored. Make some noise.
Oh my God, what am I gonna say now? Oh, the nice, I mean, you do this for a living, I guess. I mean, and just thinking about being here today and celebrating you, there's no one like you. I'm gonna have to, this is where I need those sunglasses. You're everything on the court that everybody could ever wish to be. All of the dreams that little kids have, you've done it all. And I think the thing that everybody knows in here, and certainly the people closest to you, is that you're so much better off of it. You've given everybody this like beacon for all of these years, how to be, how to carry yourself, how to treat people. And I think this ceremony, everybody sitting here, everybody sitting in the stands, everybody watching on TV, showing up in this way, this is because of you. This is because of the way that you've made everyone feel. And I think being an elite athlete myself and being in this world, I think I can really say this. Like, we're not all like you. You really are the best of us. And I think we're so lucky to be here. I know I'm so lucky to be in your life in the way that I am. I can't wait for you to hear everything that everybody has to say and to celebrate you in this way. I know you've been looking forward to being the center of attention like this. She's been so calm all week, soaking it in, staying super present, being all therapized. Yeah, her sister's laughing behind. Let's get close to home. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into why we're here. Thank you for giving me this moment. Thank you for giving all of us this moment to be able to celebrate you. You've been meticulously setting the stage for all of this for so many years. We're so excited to be here. I love you so much. Congratulations on arguably the best career that anyone has ever had in the history of any sport ever. Let's get this party started. Who are we passing it to now?
Am I supposed to say something?
You're up.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure.
Boom.
No,
Smooth
I knew.
transition.
I thought the applause was still going. Okay, yeah, yep. All right. Next up, Jenny Gilder, Lisa Brummel, Seattle Storm co-owners. Let's go!
You guys, thank you so much for being here. I know none of you would have missed it. The day the Seattle Storm won the first ever WNBA draft lottery. Did you know that? That was the first lottery. It was November 13th, 2001. Its first head coach and GM knew exactly what she needed. With two bigs on her starting five, LJ and Kamila Vodichkova, Lynn Dunn was on the hunt for the best point guard she could rustle up. That foggy Seattle morning, 10 months after the Ackerley family had announced the sale of the Sonics and Storm to the Starbucks CEO and 57 minority owners, it was barely 2 months after the tragedy of 9/11. Yet the hopes for better basketball days at Key Arena shot skywards, buoyed by the prospect of a young bird winging her way to Seattle. For there was never any question in the GM's mind as to whom she would select and whether she would trade away the pick. Coach Dunn knew she was getting a competitive, skilled, and uber-smart player when she chose Sue Bird. She knew Sue would step into the on-court role of leading the team, directing play, and creating a cohesive environment in which her teammates, with LJ at the top of the list, would shine. A promising future beckoned. She may well have surmised that Sue would absorb lessons from the more experienced players around her on the Storm and USA Basketball, from Medea Barnes to Dawn Staley, and would develop into an off-court team leader as well. She wouldn't have been surprised by Sue's dutiful attention to aiding the Storm franchise in its bid to establish a solid footing in Seattle. Whether it was media requests for interviews, public appearances to engage with fans, participation in youth clinics, Sue complied. Thanks to her ease and grace, her sense of humor, and quick-witted intelligence, Sue proved a huge draw, matching her all-star on-court performance with her accessibility as a person. Her matter-of-fact approach allowed her to field even tedious media questions. Remember that? That annual query about the team's unbroken spring of feast or famine playoff results that extended from 2004 to 2010? Coach Dunn would never have predicted that 5 years after Sue's arrival, her team would be sold to an out-of-towner who moved to rip the franchise out of its home. She would never have imagined that fans, you guys, would then band together to keep the team in Seattle, paving the way for Sue's pro career to continue where it started. That's all you. That's you. Know that. As Sue grew, the fan base grew, to the point that the franchise became known for its fierce home court advantage. Maybe Washington got a little of that today, maybe not quite enough, but Sue would mirror the best of Seattle's progressive self and point the way towards its further embrace of inclusiveness. Would Coach Dunn have sensed that Sue would prove a somewhat reluctant off-court leader, at least in the public eye, never shirking her duty, but not exactly seizing the role with the avidity of an extrovert? Would she have foreseen that Sue would nonetheless shake off that reticence as she came to realize the impact she could make in the larger world, bolstered by a community that loved her so fully? That's you guys again. Of course, I don't know how Coach Dunn would have assessed Sue's growth trajectory after her first game in a Storm jersey, which, incidentally, we lost by 17 to the Liberty. But I know how I've made sense of her maturation since Force 10 Hoops purchased the Storm in 2008, which was Sue's 7th season. I would say her ascendance into a public role as a fierce advocate for social change would have defied anyone's expectations or predictions, and will end up rivaling the impact she has made as the best point guard in league history. Her superlative athletic success was much more predictable in 2001 than her accomplishments off the court. Just consider these four things. During the 2016 season, I don't know if you guys remember, but the Minnesota Lynx staged the first BLM protest, only to be fined by the league. In her 15th season, with her teammates anywhere from 5 to 14 years younger, Sue recognized the relevance of the protest to a league dominated by Black women. Seizing the moment, the Storm joined the protest by contesting the league's fines. Weeks later, at the Olympic Games, Sue's life changed in a way that so many of us can relate to. She fell in love. And not just with anybody, but with a woman who lives her values out loud on the world stage. I doubt Sue ever entertained keeping her relationship with Rapinoe on the down low. But more to the point, she embraced the opportunity that came with her girlfriend. Even in 2017, coming out wasn't all puppies and rainbows. Yet in sharing her own deeply personal love story, Sue stepped more fully into her role as an advocate for social justice, change, and acceptance. Number 3. You guys might not know this, but or it's probably not top on your list of details about Sue, but she ramped up her off-court leadership activities in 2018, joining the executive committee of the Players Union. She helped shape the groundbreaking CBA of 2020, which resulted in significantly higher pay for players, better health care and maternity benefits, a longer season, and the introduction of the Commissioner's Cup. And Sue's role should not be understated here, as she transferred her point guard skills to the negotiating table. Recognizing the goal was a win for the entire league, Sue tackled understanding what was most important to the owners so that the final agreement accommodated their needs while getting the players what they needed as well. And then, last but not least, in 2020, remember the wobble when none of us got to watch in person? Oh gosh, that was hard. Sue played another behind-the-scenes role. She helped orchestrate the WNBA players' decision to support the U.S. Senate campaign of Raphael Warnock. Clearly, I don't have to give you any more details about that, because we all know that that changed literally the course of U.S. history when he was elected to the U.S. Senate. Talk about venturing a long way from the hard court. Sue started out with the capacity to influence girls and boys who loved basketball and dreamed their own dreams of greatness. She certainly has done that. She started playing in an era where professional women athletes were expected to feel grateful to play their sport for a living. She helped usher in a new one, where the broader culture now accepts their right to do so. Then the league struggled for legitimacy. Now it's viewed as a growth investment. Sue went from doing what was asked of her to doing what she believes is right. She started as a leader on the court and is now a leader wherever she shows up, a shining example of our community's best traits. And while she has put a period on her athletic career, there's no such punctuation mark hanging over her future, just open skies for her to soar into. Exactly what you would want for the rare bird that she is. Okay.
Mine's shorter. But I did write it this time. The first time I met Sue Bird was over the phone, actually. It was in 2008. We were about ready to go down to the press conference announcing we purchased the team. And Karen Bryant handed me the phone and said, "Sue Bird's on the phone." And I said, "Hello," and she was like, "Hi, this is Sue." And I think in that moment, all of a sudden, everything became real. It was like, this is Sue Bird on the other end of the phone. Didn't matter we were buying the team, it was like, Sue Bird's on the other end of the phone. And it was quite a moment. She said, I'm speaking on behalf of Lauren and myself, and I want to let you know how excited we are that you've purchased the team. And I'll just say, as we go into our 16th season, we're even more excited to have purchased this team, not just for you guys, but for the team that's with us now and for the team that's going to be with us in the future and for what we're trying to represent in this community and certainly for these fans. Thank you, and thank you both. The second short story I have is a couple years ago, after a game, I think we might have lost the game, I was walking around in the hallway at University of Washington, and another opposing coach was there. So I stopped to chat with her for a little bit, and we were kind of saying, oh, isn't it tough when you don't get the rebounds, and oh, this player can't play today, and sort of going all through the stuff, and I was trying to listen to, exactly what was on her mind. She was to what was on my mind. And we were going back and forth about lamenting this, that, or the other thing. And then at the end, she just said, but you have Sue Bird. And then it was done. Like, we didn't speak after that. That was like, I have nothing to say now. Because she was right. it became not just the practical, hey, here's what she can do on the court, but it's, you have Sue Bird. And it's a whole bigger thing than just the court. And I came to realize in that statement what I had seen for so many years. So you go through a regular season. Let's just take the 21 years. First year, plays 35 minutes, shoots about 40%. No, probably has, I don't know, 6 assists a game, something like that. 10 years later, she's still playing over 30 minutes, still shooting 40%, still having over 6 assists a game. 10 more years, she's playing over 25 minutes, still shooting 40%, still having over 6 assists a game. Now, there's 25 minutes left, and you're going down 5 every 10 years. There's plenty more playing time. But perhaps the most important thing I learned from Sue on the court was what happens when you go into the playoffs. It's like she goes into another world. It's like, so back to my little statistics. 2022 playoffs, averages 35 minutes a game, still shoots 40%, has 7 assists and 1 turnover. After 21 years. I mean, that's just a different gear. I don't think any of us have that gear, but good for you. That was amazing. But it happened every time you hit a playoff. You knew her mind, her body, her thought went to a different place. And it was magical. It was absolutely magical. So thank you. Thank you for your partnership with this organization for so many years. It's so important to have that player-organization partnership, and you started it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your role as a competitor. I've said a lot about it. It means everything to this community. It means everything to this team. You are a role model for what competition is about. And finally, thank you for setting the standard of excellence from which great things have been built and will continue to be built. It starts with you. Thank you.
Well, our little love story was never going to stay quiet because minute 1, we live in the same building as Brum, she spotted us and she had the hottest piece of lesbian news on Queen Anne, didn't she? That shit was never staying quiet. I'm doing, yeah. Thanks for the help. Got it, boom, boom. We got it, we know what we're doing, obviously. Anybody who knows Sue knows that Sue loves a story, is an exceptional storyteller, and one name rings the bell just a little bit different than every other name. It's Swin Cash. Isn't it? Isn't it? The first time I ever met Swin, we were going, I think, to like the 20th anniversary. Yeah, I didn't quite know. I don't know if Sue had ever like really brought everyone out, because every time I came around, people were like, oh, you being one of them. We got in the cab. Swin knew full well that I had just gotten out of a relationship, and I was in a relationship with Sue relatively quickly. And she like turned her head to the back of the cab, and she's like, Sue, were you like single for a while before? And I was like, Swin, you know full well that that is not what happened. Think about Swin. she's gonna have the tea. She's gonna know the info. Got that right away. I knew that. But what I really feel like I knew from that was you always have Sue's back. You're always gonna jab her. But I feel like you really prepared her for being with me, because like we're gonna do what we want, really. We're gonna turn the thermostat up or down. We're gonna mess with it. We're gonna do all the things. But it was just so apparent as soon as I started dating Sue how important you were to her. I felt like I started knowing you as soon as I got with Sue, and just all of the stories are just so weaved from college and USA basketball and obviously into the WNBA, off-court shenanigans, everything. I don't think anyone makes Sue bust up quite, I'm a little jealous to be honest, makes Sue bust up laughing quite like you do. You are certainly one of a kind in Sue's life. And yeah, without further ado, the legend, the Hall of Famer, Swin Cash, y'all.
Try to stick to my time, not cry, and definitely jab her before I get out of here. So, yeah, Sue Bird. Oh my goodness. We go back like AIM, Instant Messenger, and cook food, you know? Some of y'all old enough in here to remember AIM. Don't play with me. Believe it or not, Sue was the first person to help me get an email. And get on Instant Messenger. That's crazy. We've known each other for a very long time. We go back so far as to college. Kirk Franklin's "Do You Want a Revolution?" Whoop, whoop. Take it back to Foxy Brown. They say we 7:30. They say we spaz out. UC is ill. We about to wild out. I know Tamika and Asia up there loving it right now too. But Sue and I, Megan's right. We have this intertwine, and there's not one person on this earth that I have one more competed with than her. And I'm so blessed to be here today to be able to share this moment and to see her go up to the rafters. So. I wanted to reflect on Sue's storied career from my earliest memories and take it back to college. You know, Sue and I got to college from two different sides of the track, as people would like to say. And, you know, we were put together as roommates. I see CD over there, from UConn. And we were put together as roommates, having to figure out what it is to learn, to grow together, and become the best teammates. But here is what I want to share about my sister, my friend, one of the biggest pains in my beep. But we can laugh about that, because I'm definitely one of the biggest pains in hers. So it's a love, it's a give-give relationship, and we love that. But, you know, I have the limited time, and the one thing how I want to talk about Sue is that it's the power of the basketball, a voice, and being just a kid from Syosset, New York. So let's talk about the basketball between these lines, because we've talked a lot about winning and competing. Some of my earliest memories in college was competing with Sue Bird. And Sue, anybody that's played with her knows how competitive she can be. And she'll tell you, oh, I don't really care about that. No, she's trying to win everything. Everything. So I don't really care. I mean, if you win, that's fine. Let's run it back. Like, that is her. And I love that about her, right? So I remember in college, she wanted to win every sprint. She wouldn't say it, but she always was crossing that line. And I used to wait and be strategic sometimes and look very tired. And all of a sudden, when she wasn't expecting it, I take off just to piss her off so she wasn't first. That wasn't happening all the time, y'all, trust me. But it just was the way that our relationship worked, and I love that about her, because there was always that winning edge. There's not a competitor out there like Sue Bird, mentally, physically, whatever it takes. Like, she is the cream of the crop. Anybody that's played with Sue also understands, has she ever given y'all those crazy eyes? Crazy eyes. I used to like them, so I have to give them back to her. And what I mean by that is, if you're supposed to be flashing or being in a spot you're not in, you're gonna see Sue's eyes very, very big, right? And so I realized that really early on in this kind of teammate relationship. She's going, come on, and it gets the hopper going, like, where you at? So I used to think, okay, well, I'm gonna sprint really hard and give you the big eyes, like, I need you to deliver that pass right here because I got a layup, right? And so I love that about her because she didn't have to say anything. Jewel, you feel me? She got you with the head too, huh? If you played with her, you know the crazy eyes, but you love it because you know get your behind where you're supposed to be. The other thing I loved about Sue is one of the things that bother me the most right now that I loved about her then is this perfect ponytail that she had to have. We're going to the gym, and she had a routine, like I had a routine. Play my gospel music, get in a little DMX, we get into the car, we're at the gym. Sue, gotta get up, shower at the same time, need the flat iron, ponytail has to be perfect, and then we're there. Hairspray and all, didn't matter. And if you were in the game and messed with that ponytail, ooh, Lord, I pray for you, pray for you. But that was her. She had a routine. And young people ask this question all the time, and you need to understand, Sue didn't get like this, be this competitor, win all these championships, win all these Olympic gold medals because she just showed up. She had a work ethic to her. And if you were ever in her presence, you knew that about her. If you ever got an opportunity to play with her or play against her, you knew she was prepared. She would be the one on the court probably telling you where you're supposed to be if you're on the other team because she was that good. I watched Sue in her preparation, and people talk about being prepared. Preparation is not for perfection. Preparation is for good habits. If you're a young player, if you're a player that's playing today, you need to watch a lot of Sue Bird film because she was always prepared. Always, give it up for that. Because nowadays, players think you can show up. Sue wanted to know, even as she was getting up there, and I'm gonna tell this story briefly because she annoyed me with this. We were having a conversation and Sue was like, I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be the retirement year, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, and then I would hit her with like, so when do you think about retiring? I don't know, I played a point guard position, if I do this and that, like my minutes are different. And we kept talking and she's like, usually the athletic ability you have to have, like people needed to do this or get around screens. And it wasn't until I took my current job when we started doing evaluations on players, and I was saying to myself, she knew I was an athlete and gonna fall off a cliff, but as a point guard, she could keep playing, and she didn't want to tell me. She felt kind of good. She didn't want me to feel bad about myself. But she's like, as a point guard, girl, I can keep going, but you, my friend, you're not gonna jump as high, you're not gonna be able to do these things. Sitting in there going through this evaluation process, and I'm like, I need to call Sue. I can't believe she was jabbing me and I didn't even realize it. But she's so kind and she's so sweet, everyone that knows her. That's why she didn't say, Swin, you're gonna fall off a cliff, or you've already fallen off the cliff. She was really kind about that, and I loved her. But the other thing about Sue is her F you and her want to. There's not another person that has it. And Lisa, you are so right. When it came playoff time, I wanted to be on her team for a reason. Because if there was a shot that needed to be made, if there was a play that needed to be changed in a huddle, Sue was prepared to do that. She was always ready for war. One of the things about Sue as well was the voice, and that's the other thing. We talked about the ball, the voice, her teammates. She cared about them tremendously. She cared about what was happening in our lives. Sue and I were able to connect on a different level because when we talked about issues that weren't just basketball, she cared about issues that I had as a woman, as a Black woman, the community, the society. We had a number of talks. And you need support, you need allies, you need people who care more about others at times than they do of themselves, and that is who Sue is. She showed us that again and again with her leadership in the WNBA, in society. She showed us that here in Seattle, when the team didn't leave and the team was still here, when she had opportunities to leave Seattle, she stayed for y'all. I think back to our 2010 team, our WNBA championship. Shout out to the OG7s. I know they're in here. Ash, Cole, Millie, T, Boog. We had a phenomenal group, but Sue was that leader. Sue had that mindset. We had a tremendous talent. We were able to win #2. And I mean, Lisa, those rings started getting bigger. I mean, I saw Sue with the ring. I got the 2-1. I mean, but I love winning a championship here with her because she is the quintessential champion. She loved this city. This city was her second home. And I think having that steady but ready person always for your franchise, you don't get that all the time. That is who Sue is. Some people think that leadership is you have to be vocal all the time. Sue knew when to use her voice, she knew when to lead between the lines, and she knew when she needed to push everybody out the way and I need to say what needs to be said. That's important because everybody that thinks leadership is leading from the front, sometimes you have to have the humility to be able to lead from the back. And Sue didn't care what it took, she wanted to win. Lastly, I want to finish up with this. The third part that I talked about, we talked about the ball between these lines and what Sue's meant to the game. We talked about her voice and what it meant to so many people. But let's talk about just her being a kid from Syosset, New York. When I first met Sue, I kind of felt like I was that soldier boy meme because I say, well, where are you from? And she said, Syosset, New York. And I said, Syosset, New York? Where's Syosset, New York? And I think right away I kind of made Sue think about it. She said, well, I grew up, I was over in Queens. I went to Christ the King, like Biggie. So maybe it was like, giving me her street cred at that point. But the beautiful thing about Sue is that if you are a person that, if you heard the video that talked about her growing up in Syosset, New York, then going to Christ the King, it's her love of people, it's her love of music, it's her love of community. Since I've known her since the age of 17, that's who she's been. She hasn't changed. She hasn't changed the more she's won. She hasn't changed the more eyeballs got on her. She hasn't changed since she started dating Megan and falling in love. The only thing that really changed about her is that she allowed the world to come in a little bit closer. She never changed. But guess what? That's her choice. That's not our choice. Everybody always wants a piece of you, a piece of you, a piece of you. She let you in when she wanted to let you in. She's gonna lead when she wants to lead. And I'm so proud to be her friend. And I say this to you, Sue. Suzanne, Bridget, DB. If y'all know who DB is, y'all need to figure that out, why she has a nickname DB. Suzanne, Bridget, DB Bird. The sky isn't the limit, sis. It's just a forever view for these storm crazies to look up, to love and respect you. You're one of the coldest to do it in this game, and I'm glad that I had a front row seat. I love you.
Yes. I just learned so much. I was really about to invite you guys over for game night, and that's definitely not happening now. No Settlers of Catan will be happening with you too, okay? Monopoly, no, 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 no. And that crazy eye thing, I'm like, yep, anyone that has ever performed with me knows about those eyes as well. Next up to the podium, Lindsay Kagawa Colas, make some noise.
Hi. Thank you. So thank you for having me. It's my honor to be here representing our team at Wasserman. We've had the incredible privilege of representing Sue. I also want to use this moment to thank a pioneering Storm ownership and a front office. Thank you, clap it up. And a front office that went above and beyond and gave Sue really what she deserves, an incredible weekend. Alicia, Talisa, your team, coaches, thank you guys so much. This is beautiful. So most of the time, we measure an athlete's greatness in points, assists, or Olympic medals, in seasons played, championships won, and records broken. And by every measure, Sue Bird's number 10 jersey belongs in the rafters above us. But her achievements and her athletic greatness are only part of the story. The part we got to experience here in Seattle for 19 extraordinary seasons. Sue is an introvert at heart, so her iconic point guard persona is a little different than when she steps off the floor, sometimes. But the same drive, that same consummate team spirit, the same rare ability to elevate everyone's game by bringing out the best in those around her, this is just who she is in really any setting. Sue Bird is the person who shows up for her team, for the league, for teammates, her fans, her friends, and I, for one, can't think of a higher compliment. And while her voice is rarely the loudest in the room, it's almost always the wisest. Both because Sue is the smartest person in most rooms, and because she is the quintessential servant leader who never wants to make it about herself. And I'm not just talking about how she wins championships. So whether it's fighting for a landmark CBA, standing up for Black lives, doing the work and calling others into white allyship, fighting for trans rights, leading our campaign on Vote Warnock to flip the Senate, bringing BG home. And leading a call for investment in women's sports. Sue did not ask for any of this to land on her shoulders. The rest of us, her fellow players, the broader WNBA family, the country at large, looked to her for leadership. So as always, she showed up, stepping forward and speaking out in service of something bigger. Listening and learning, helping to guide all of us towards what's next, making it about everyone but herself. Even the process of coming out never really felt necessary for Sue on a personal level. It only became necessary when she realized that it actually was about others. That her coming out might give permission to just a few more people somewhere out there to be their authentic selves. Over the years, watching Sue grow, evolve, and achieve both as a player and a leader and also as a person, it's really been breathtaking. And if it sounds like her evolution mirrors how the WNBA itself has evolved, has grown, has risen to meet every single moment, I don't think that's a coincidence. Throughout her career, this league called Sue Bird to greatness beyond athletic achievement. And in return, Sue's influence, her impact, her ethos have helped make the WNBA what it is today. So Sue, we miss seeing you on the court this season. It's hard to overstate what you mean to this franchise, to this league, to this city, to these incredible fans. And we cannot overstate what you mean to this game. But I see a lot of Sue Bird in the rising generation of women athletes across so many sports who know their worth and use their platforms to keep pushing all of us forward. They also dress a lot better than we used to. Lots of Sue there too. And of course, Sue isn't really going anywhere. She's just writing a new chapter, bringing that same humble leadership, the same team spirit, the same wit, smarts, and ability to elevate everyone's game to new arenas, never to be defined by just one title. Sue, the ultimate multi-hyphenate, will surely have a trophy case as diverse as her talents by the time Retirement 2.0 rolls around. Whether it's an Oscar, an Emmy, or maybe a Nobel Peace Prize, what a privilege it'll be to watch and keep following your lead. What a rare joy it's been to witness the arc of a truly great athlete's career, to see the WNBA and the game itself redefined by an icon whose impact cannot be measured by statistics alone. Most of all, after so many years of being the person who shows up for the rest of us, what an honor for all of us to show up for you this afternoon. Congratulations, number 10, and Seattle. Let's keep showing her how much we love her.
Sue also dresses a lot better than she used to. Just gonna say that. It wasn't bad. Just wasn't quite you. Okay, and I'm awkwardly getting my paper out, I know. One thing that I know very deeply about Sue, and I think everybody is seeing that now, is how important her relationships are to her. And it's not just that she makes you feel special when you talk to her, when you see her. It's that you actually are special to her. And you have so many people in your life that love you so much. This is a little phone in from one of the OG7s who could not be here. Tanisha, obviously, she's busy doing her job, I guess. But she wanted me to pass on a little message before I introduce another very special relationship in your life. Sue, I am so very sad that I couldn't be here to share in this day with you. As someone who spent the majority of her career alongside you, words cannot express how grateful I am for having the opportunity to share the court with a living legend. I grew so much as a player from being your teammate. Your presence helped create and shape the player I ultimately became. I hope that you sit back and reflect on your career and give yourself a humble brag about the impact you've had on so many individuals in their career. Thank you for helping me rise to the occasion, and thank you for always being my safety blanket. Love you, homie. Congratulations, number 10. Love you, T. Wish you were here. Another very, very important person in Sue's life is Jenny Busek. Jenny, I feel like, was one of the first people in Sue's life that I really got to hang out with. Obviously, Jenny was here coaching at the time when Sue and I got together. They were always masterminding something. As I was saying before, there's not many athletes like Sue, and I think part of that is because you're a savant. And Jenny, you created this beautiful, brilliant space for the two of you. I don't even know what you were doing. I was there listening, but I was like, yeah, floppy to the elbow down pin thing. And you guys were always so kind to let me interject and, try to help. Obviously, I wasn't helping. But it was just such a beautiful space that you created for her then and have kept creating for her. You're always the person that she goes to. You challenge her in so many ways. You love her wholeheartedly, and I feel like you really see the genius that is Sue Bird. It's only so much of it we get to see out on the court, but all the magic happens between you two, and then we get to witness it out here. So Without further ado, Jenny Busek, come and give Sue her flowers.
Man, first of all, I just can't tell you guys what an honor this is to be here with the Storm family. That at the end of the day, I would say we're all connected through the human connective tissue of Sue Bird and makes us all one family. But this is a legacy franchise. We have known it since day one. This is a legacy franchise built on two legacy players. Now, there are many franchises in professional sports, and many of them never get a legacy player. And this franchise has had several. And I believe in karma and things being meant to be. This is a place that's meant to be legacy because you guys understand it, you celebrate it, you can keep up with it. And these are the best fans in pro sports, so it's meant to be legacy. It's awesome to be back with you guys. There's no place like this place. I have struggled mightily with what to say. I've ripped this thing up 50 times, maybe more. So please bear with me as I have an outline. I'm gonna try to just speak from my heart. But Sue's a really hard person to sum up. You know, when you know her a long time, you know her well. She has won everywhere she's ever been, every level, but at the same time has won everyone over along the way. She is somebody that to know is to admire everyone, whether it be the President of the United States or an usher. To know her is to admire her and to adore her. She is fully like both superhuman, like this superhero with bionic knees and hips and brains and just a killer, and you just can't defeat her. She's always gonna get back up and rip your heart out and leads groups of people to the heights that they could never get to on their own. Not human. But at the same time that she is Sue freaking DB Bird, she is always just Sue. You never seen anybody like this walking the face of the earth that can be all of these things at the same time. So to try to sum up, like one of the most amazing, incredible, inspiring people that I know and one of my favorite people is hard. We got to know each other starting in 2003. Ann Donovan got hired and she wanted an all-female staff. The men were dominating the NBA at that time. NBA coaches had come in, Mike Thibault, Bill Laimbeer, Richie Adebayo, and Ann got this job. She had two young superstars, and she wanted to win this thing with an all-female staff. I'm telling you, of all the things I've been around in sports, what Ann did and her vision for that is one of the most meaningful things I've seen. It was huge. Jesse Kinlaw's in the house, shout out. We got an all-female staff together, and we went to try to beat these guys. Now, I'd come from an NBA background, so I was the woman that fit the X and O NBA. Can we keep up with these guys and beat them? And that's where we started to bond, was over the X and O's of the game. We won it in 2004. We beat Mike Thibault in Game 3 right here on this floor. Missed shot in the corner, Nikisha Sales. Lauren was supposed to take a foul, but she didn't. It was meant to be. It made it more exciting, more dramatic. We won. We won. Our way. We won. We won. We got it done. But at that time, Sue and Lauren, you know, it was Sue's second year in the league. These two were free and fearless. They didn't give a lot of thought to anything. A lot of things came easy for them. We had the perfect pieces around them, and we won that thing. And, you know, I think we all thought we were going to win many more. Like, we got this. You know, what became evident right away was Sue's superpower was here. Her brain was her superpower. Ann was a post coach. Jesse was a post coach. I got the great privilege of working with the guards, and Sue and I started to work together, and I started to get glimpses into that brain and also into her need for somebody to partner with her and her brain and maximize that superpower. So that's how we got to know each other. I went off to Sacramento. 2010, new ownership group saved our franchise. We are all forever grateful for that. Brian Agler was here. He brought me back to work with Sue and the team on the offensive end of the floor and try to see if we could take a new group of people, a new perfect ecosystem around Sue and Lauren and try to win another one. So by this time, they'd knocked out 5 first rounds. And the free and fun, fearless Sue and Lauren was a lot more serious tone. And Sue was studying the game different. You know, 2003, 4, 5, she was usually one of the last to come to the gym and one of the first to leave. It was easy. 2010, Sue meant business. Sue wanted to study this game like nobody you will ever see. I felt the responsibility to do my part to keep learning this game. And as she was traveling the world and winning championships everywhere and experiencing greatness in all these different contexts, my role was to go out and be around great coaches and data and sports science and what's the latest thing and what's going to be the next thing. And then by the time we come back together every year, it's like, let's put your experiences with what I've learned and let's turn it into vision and systems and keep this thing going and maximize this superpower of her brain. And this happened, us geeking out. I'm sure we'll be in a nursing home someday at 90 years old. Herschel, I don't know if you'll still be around, but your spirit lives through her very much. And we will be in the nursing home calling each other, just continuing to break down film, geek out, talk about what's going on in the game that we just saw. But up to her last game, and people have spoken to this, as her body wasn't gliding around as easily, this became even more of her separator. And she took it serious. Night before her last game of her career, 5-time Olympian, smartest player to ever play, smarter than almost any coach to ever walk the face of the earth. She's spending 3 hours on the phone with me, taking notes, plugging into her database, spreadsheets in the brain, and then taking in all this data, and then still would go out on the court, and we'd been pop quizzing. They show this defense, we're running this play. They got this matchup, we're doing that. And she could draw from it with this, it's just unheard of. The amount of information she could take in and draw from in a split second. So it's a great privilege to have the responsibility and the privilege to help her carry this gift and the burden and the responsibility that came along with it. This leads me to her second superpower. Everybody, you know, we talk about her brain, we talk about her talent, you know, all that. But her second superpower, and I think this is her greatest superpower, is her humility. Now, humility, I would define as knowing who you are, knowing who you're not, and fully embracing unapologetically all of that. Sue's always done that. Humility is knowing the beauty of interdependence. No matter how good you are, how high a level you are, no how famous you are, successful you are, we need each other. We need people in our lives, and we receive help. We ask for help. Sue never changed with that. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, but it's thinking about yourself less. Sue never stopped doing that. I'm going to read a quote. This is from our equipment manager that we had here in her latter years after she was already a megastar, who was autistic on the spectrum, tried really hard to please everybody, but she was low man on the totem pole in our organization. And I just want to give you an idea of the other side of this superhuman person. My favorite thing about Sue was always that she was low-key, low maintenance, always kind. She has every right to be a prima donna, and other players less successful than her were, but she never was. Like if a Chipotle or Evolution Fresh order messed up, she just rolled with it. If her socks were still damp where the loop was holding them, she never said a word. Meanwhile, younger and other players would make ridiculous requests. Another quote I want to go to, and then we're going to keep on going here. Pride, which is the opposite of humility, makes empathy nearly impossible. Pride keeps us from really noticing people, from putting ourselves in their shoes, from recognizing when they're hurting and unhappy. It keeps us absorbed with our own agenda and needs. Sue should have been a prideful person based on her resume, her everything. but she always noticed everybody. I don't know how she does this. And she gives you in this own quiet way, like exactly what you need in that moment. I remember I got fired in Sacramento in 2009, and you feel like rejected, just trash thrown on the floor. Nobody's thinking about you. Life just moves on. And they played Seattle the next week. And in Sue Bird fashion, she crushes them. Like goes into DB mode. It wasn't about serving everybody else. She just crushed them, right? Ripped their heart out. And I get this text, and it's 4 words. And it says, "That was for you." You know, my mom was in a coma 2 days. They said less than 10% you're gonna survive. No one knew what to say. People didn't say anything, or they said too much, or they said the wrong thing. Sue was my rock during those 2 days. She just, as on time and on target as her passes are her words straight from the heart. I could give example after example, and everybody I've ever talked to about Sue has stories like this. A shepherd is the best leadership model I've ever seen. They're not the cowboys with the whip from behind and whipping everybody, do this, do that. Somebody runs off, they get the lasso out, they lasso them, they jerk them back in. A shepherd every night goes to their flock, and every single one of them, they say, "You all right? You got a splinter right there, let me get it. Ooh, a little cut right there, let me get it. Oh, you look tired, here, rest on this." And they earn the trust of their flock. And then they are so smart and equipped, they know that if I follow this leader, I don't have to. If I follow them, I'm gonna get to green grass and I'm gonna get to clear water. People want to follow Sue because of how she cares for them, and they know if I follow her, I'm gonna get where we wanna go. It's a unique leadership style, but it is her gift. One of the greatest leaders ever walked the face of the earth. I'm gonna close with this. Maya Angelou said, "People will not remember what you did. They're not gonna remember what you said, but they never forget how you made them feel." Sue, I don't know how you do this. I don't know how you are fully superhuman and so just really human. Sue freaking Bird and just Sue, I don't know how you do it, but it's a gift to everyone you encounter, everyone who sees you, knows you. It's such a gift. And I want to thank you just for all that, and from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to be in your life in the way that I have. And may we all take the spirit of Sue Bird and learn. I learned so much from her. And be the people that we have the humility to embrace who we are and who we're not, unapologetically. To know in those places where we're not, we're okay, and we're not afraid to reach out and be interdependent and operate as a team and say, "I need help. Hey, I need you," and be a team, be that in a beautiful interdependence. And then to know that all these gifts and talents and passions that we all given, they're very unique, that as we embrace them and we grow them, that it's not about us, it's about giving it back for the greater good. This is Sue Bird's life. This is her legacy. It's only going to continue, and may we all have more of that in our lives. It's not about us. It's about being us unapologetically and it being given for the greater good. So Sue, I love you. Thank you so much. Everybody, this is all love connected through Sue forever. We love you, Sue. We love you. We love you.
Go up front. Go up front. Got it. Man, this is amazing. I feel like I'm at a fire wedding. And it's like the dinner recital, and everyone's just supposedly has 3 to 5 minutes, and then 20 minutes later it's still going on. And you know when that happens? It happens when people love the person that they're celebrating. That's when it happens. because there's so much to say. There's so much to say. And I had 3 minutes allotted earlier, and now I'm gonna go on for 15 about something that's on my heart. No, next up, Lauren Jackson, make some noise.
Something about you, girl, it makes me sweat.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to preface this with I'm a terrible public speaker, unlike Sue. Normally in an environment like this, I would just get up and speak from the heart, but she is far too important. And so I had to write it down. So this is going to be terrible, fast. I'll probably cry and, yeah, just bear with me while I get through it all, okay? So when I was asked to do this for Sue, I was like, yep, no problem. And then I thought about it and I was like, oh my God, this is actually going to be really hard because I don't like speaking. But also there is nothing that I can say about her that will give or do her justice, because what will do justice to such a remarkable human? And as you've heard today, everything that's been said is true. So here I go, just bear with me. Sue and I grew into adults playing basketball for the Storm. We were kids when we came to Seattle. We grew up together here in front of a lot of you. And for all of you who've been able to witness her evolution over the last 21 years, what an absolute privilege you've had. Like, I don't think you'll ever have such a privilege again. Sue has been such a good friend to me over the years through the good times and bad, particularly when we played together, but still, I don't think there's ever been a secret that I've kept from her. You've been there when I've needed to chat about basketball, about life, about anything. The one I've hit up when I've needed guidance, of course, solid guidance. I've needed a level head, I've needed advice, and absolutely no judgment. And you've been that person. She's been that constant in my life, and that consistency that that she brought to every single game that she played. That's who she is as a person off the court. She is a consistent human that just gives everything she has to the people that she loves. Sue has always been a leader on the court. She was our engine out there. She could read plays better than anyone. She knew all our plays in every position, knew when to deliver the ball to her teammates at exactly the right time. It's almost like she played it out in her head before it even happened, and you could see it in her eyes. You knew everything was going to be okay when the ball was in her hands. All of this is completely different to how I operated as a basketball player, but I like to think we complemented each other because she knew exactly what I was going to do before I even knew what I was going to do, and that's still how it works, so it's good. When I first saw Adia Barnes, and I'm pretty sure she's here somewhere, I know she is, I thought she was Sue. I don't know why, but I thought Sue was going to be a little bit taller. I just did. I didn't know why though. I didn't follow the NCAA, and all I knew about her was what I'd heard from Lynn Dunn via landline, possibly a fax machine, and that kind of paved the way for our off-court interactions for the next year. I was shy and Sue was super reserved. And it took a bit of time, as you all already know, for us to sort of warm up to each other, but once that happened, the rest is history. My memories of events, games, years, people is totally shot, unlike Sue, who remembers pretty much everything, all the time, which is quite frightening as a friend. Even last night, I was like, oh my God, how do you remember that? That's terrible, I did not do that, but I did. And she's still like recalling every single thing. I won't be able to articulate and share the stories from the good old days like she will, and I'm pretty sure we're meant to be here roasting her, but I'm pretty sure she's going to roast every single person in here, so. I often find myself questioning my memories as if they were dreams or whether or not they actually happened, because it feels like the time when we spent playing alongside one another here at Key Arena was an absolute dream. It felt like an eternity while I was in it, and as the years go by, it feels like it never happened. Watching Sue these last 12 years from Australia was like watching someone that I knew so well and had so much familiarity with evolve into someone that I didn't know existed. And although nostalgia got the better of me, sorry, I'm going to get so emotional. It's going to be hard, but yeah, and she has been nothing short of inspirational, like to me and to everyone still. She showed the world what courage of conviction and leadership look like with her advocacy and her diplomacy, and she really changed the face of women's basketball by bringing social issues to the forefront of people's minds, initiating discussions, demanding change. And like people have touched on, our game has changed for the better. And women's basketball has found its place, its platform, and women are being heard. You have played the biggest role in that, and I hope you don't ever underestimate the impact that you have on people, not just here, but like globally. People know you and the work you've done. You've changed our game. So yeah, anyway, whatever. Whatever, mate. It's very hard to argue with Sue about anything, ever. Obviously, she's highly intelligent and very confident in herself, and, you know, in her beliefs. And that's something I've always admired, but it's also been a massive source of frustration, particularly when we did play together and we were like sisters. And also, like, we played all over the world, and I think that frustration, like, leveled at nighttime in European countries after a few beverages, and we would fight like sisters, and it was crazy. All jokes aside, that confidence and innate belief in herself is what made her the best point guard in women's basketball ever. Always the one to knock down the big shots, call the last plays, make the big plays. Her creativity and ability to weave through and break down defenses, I'm pretty sure she actually coached every coach that ever coached her teams, ever. I witnessed it. No, I saw it. I'm not even lying. I'm not even being an asshole. She coached every coach we ever had. She made it very easy for everyone around her just to be successful. And we all were. We were all successful because of her. Sue's legacy to Seattle, to USAB, to the WNBA, and to our beautiful game is one that I don't think will ever be matched by anyone. One of my on-court memories, and probably because it happened every game, was coming back on the court after a timeout, every timeout. And Sue coming directly over to me, and I'm just going, what are we in now? And she's like, all right. She just had my back like that. She was that person. Finally, I asked ChatGPT what the most important position in basketball was, because for all these years, I thought it was the forward centre position. I really did. I thought we were the most important people in basketball. It turns out that the point guard position is actually the most important position, according to AI, which, whatever. Whatever, mate. I'm there. Okay, I believe it. Sue, being that you are the greatest point guard of all time, by my calculations, and I'm not really good at maths, but I'm pretty sure, that would make you the most influential and impactful player of all time. That also makes you the true GOAT of our game. And how fortunate I am to call you my friend, my teammate, and an absolute icon of women's sport. Thank you for everything you've given the sport and all of us who have been touched by your wisdom. This next chapter will no doubt be more rewarding and spectacular than you could ever imagine, and I truly believe that. Enjoy it, babe. Enjoy every moment of it. Go rest. You are, in the words of the legendary Queen herself, simply the best. I love you, Tina Turner. I love you, Sue Bird. Yeah.
You undersold yourself, Lauren. You're pretty good. Well, I feel like this is the hardest job, and that's why they gave it to me. And just, what can I even say? I don't know if I can actually say anything. I have the distinct honor, and it does feel like such an honor, especially in this room, with all of these people who love you with their whole heart, whose lives that you've changed forever. I get to introduce Sue. And I know everyone's dying. I know the 3 to 5 minute thing, it was, yeah, good try, whoever. Good one. No, everyone starting with Jenny. Jenny was like, yeah, whatever. Whatever, mate. I'm blowing through that. But it was hard to even try to find the right words because of the impact that you had. And so much of what everybody in here was saying was resonating because it's how much you give and how selfless you are and how not just meticulous you are in pouring yourself in, because it's not just about your brain and it's not just about how smart you are. It's about how much you care and how much you love all of these people, how much you love your family and what they've meant to you, how much you've loved each and every one of your teammates, even when you were giving them the thing. You've poured your whole self into them for so long. And going into this weekend, it was like, stay present and enjoy every moment. And a couple years ago, I don't know if you could have done it in the way that you do now, because you are different. And your heart space, to take Ben's words, is wide open. And you've poured into yourself in a way that people haven't really seen, but I've seen. That's gonna allow you to come up here and take the credit that you never wanna take for this beautiful thing that you have helped build and been the chief architect of. You're gonna be able to come up here and accept every bouquet of flowers that everybody in here wants to give you. And it's funny that you said, Lauren, what you said at the end, if DJ, cue my surprise.
But they actually did give me 20 minutes, so. I got 40? Let's go. Let's go. This is an out-of-body experience. As I'm sitting there listening to all of these wonderful words, I don't know how else to explain it. It's out of body. I feel like I've been, in some way, shape, or form, waiting for this day for a year or so, knowing it was coming at some point. And now that it's here, and by the way, thinking about it, crying, getting very emotional, which I don't know if that's a surprise, but even sitting here now, it's like, I'm like frozen, because it's just so overwhelming. I'm in a state of shock. I think it's also really hitting me that it is over. This is kind of, my retirement went on for a full-on year, so it's finally, it's done. But I'm just so excited that I'm going to get to share my thank yous, because that's really what me up here is about. All the things you heard, all the things that maybe I have done or meant to someone, one person, a group of people, according to Lauren, the globe. I didn't do that by myself. Like, not even close. Not even close. I've been so blessed to have so many people help bring things out of me. And so that's what this is about. This is about being able to say thank you. And before I do that, I do want to say thank you to everyone who made this possible, like the actual event. Coinbase is one of the partners, but of course the Storm organization and everybody who's really, I know Lexi has been working. Lexi has been working, getting everybody's stuff together. Speaking of together, I also want to thank them, the company that I'm a part of. Shout out, there's a couple of the women here, Jess, Paula, Justine, Haley, Sarah. They've helped put on all the events this weekend. And obviously stay tuned, because we got big things coming out. Just some other quick thank yous before I get into the good stuff. Mayor Bruce Harrell's here, Deputy Mayor Monisha Harrell, Jenny Durkin, you always showed love and support. Thank you so much. Everyone at OVG, we're standing in this beautiful building because of them, their partnership, their friendship. Quick shout out to Black Bar Mitzvah and Jigsaw. Documentary is coming out soon. Yeah, the companies who have helped support me throughout my time. Shout out Jordan's in the building from Nike, Eileen as well, Symetra, CarMax, like I said, Coinbase, Corona. They've just been, I mean, I've had some pretty cool commercials, and I wish I could say I wrote them. I didn't. They just really set me up for success. So thank you to them. Terry Jackson is in the building from the WNBA, our executive director. Some people have touched on our CBA. Terry, it was a ride, and we wouldn't have been able to get through it without you, so thank you so much. Everyone at the WNBA, the league office itself, throughout the years. I think wait, did we win? Was Val here when we won? Yeah. So at one point, I'm like the only player to wear all the uniforms and to hold up a trophy with all the commissioners. Yay for me. Yeah, and then I want to just take a quick second to honor those whose lives touch this organization, touch the city, who are no longer with us. I will definitely talk about Ann Donovan later, but I do want to just say her name now. Nancy Darsh, one of our assistants. Jack Rogers, he was part of the, I guess we'll call it the Starbucks ownership group. He took a big time interest in the storm. Dale Chambers, fun fact about Dale, he's a longtime season ticket holder. He would meet us at every road trip, at the end of every road trip at the airport with a sign saying, "Welcome home, Storm." Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Win or lose. When we won, we'd be like, "Hey, Dale." When we lost, we were like, "Thanks, Dale." Every time. Unbelievable. Benny May. I don't know if you know this. Benny May just passed away. Benny May was an usher, somebody that worked at Key Arena, and she was in the tunnel by our locker room, and she was part of our huddles. When we were like, 1, 2, 3 Storm, Benny May would be in the middle with us. She was always there, to give us a high five before, after games, just a staple. Someone we just lost recently, Rachel Marshall, you know her as Rachel's Ginger Beer. I had the pleasure of knowing Rachel, although brief. Just an amazing woman, someone who I just admired, again, just in the brief time, because of the way she connected people and connected community, and especially for women, just propping up women. So I just wanted to, I don't know, I just felt connected to her because of that. I think there was a similarity there. And I feel really lucky that I got to know her. And then, of course, Simone Edwards. I'm sure I'll talk about Simone later too, but obviously the best story is when she passed to Doppler. Goes without saying. But her huge heart is what made her so special to the city, this franchise, and everyone who got to meet her. Okay, now we're actually gonna start. I came across this quote recently, and I'm not really I don't write quotes down or anything, but this one really struck me, and it said, "I am a part of all that I have met." And it's, by Alfred Tennyson. It's a poem called Ulysses. And when I read it, I thought to myself, dang, that hits, because I am a part of all that I've met, but all that I've met is also a part of me, and that's what this is. That's what my whole career is. That's what this night is. That's what all of these kind words have been, the ways in which we have touched each other. So very quickly, my early days, give you a little preview into my childhood. I was the sorest of sore losers, but also terrified, scared, physically scared of my first soccer game even. My mom, I wouldn't let go of my mom's hand as we go on the field. Was crying all the way there, didn't want to play. I was terrified that I was going to pick the ball up. I have no idea why that was a thing. And then, as the story goes, I went out and had 8 goals or something like that. But I'm bringing that up just to paint a small picture about, I don't know, just a kid who did have a competitive spirit, but didn't necessarily know how to do it, right? And it's all about evolution. So that little kid must have done something right, because I do want to give one shout out to the security guard at the St. John's University basketball games. I was on a CYO team, and we got to be the little kids playing at halftime. And ironically, it was a UConn game, foreshadowing perhaps. And I must have been doing some crazy layups, which I don't know where those went. A couple years later, I never took a layup again. But the security guard actually came up to me and my parents afterwards. They're like, hey, can I get your autograph? I have a feeling it's gonna be worth something one day. I was like in 5th grade. Yeah, that's like one of my favorite stories, because I'm like, I wonder if he kept it. I would love to see it. Another quick shout out, I mean, these are the people that touched my life. My first basketball coach, Mr. McCarthy, he's the one that showed me how to shoot with basically one hand, and then the proper guide hand. I was doing the 2-hand joint, the push shot, as we all do. So he's really the first one that, taught me about a jump shot. Mr. McGlynn, my first AU coach, the first man to yell at me to shoot more. So he has that crowning honor. Not the last, but definitely the first. To my AU coaches, my high school coaches, a quote that they prepared me for everything. My AU coach, Jill, said, don't become a player who had great potential, become a great player. And that stuck with me and really was something that was always kind of running in the background. And then we fast forward to college. Chris Daly's in the audience. I know, this is so weird. I'm like going through my whole life, but we will get to the storm, I promise. I cannot thank you, the staff, enough for helping me become the person I am. It's where the foundation was laid. Yes, I had a wonderful upbringing and I learned lessons there, but in those 4 years, that's when I became who I am. And yes, along the way you have other people, but that's like the foundation, that's the root, that's the core. Somebody talked about consistency in terms of talking about me. Well, I know where I got it. Coach Daly is the most consistent, sometimes consistently annoying, but still consistent. No, I say that with love, and she knows it. She had a standard of excellence, and she always made us rise to that every single day. And I think that's why you see it in all the UConn players that you've seen in the WNBA and in this franchise for sure. Of course, Coach Ariyama, he couldn't be here, but he also, the greatest lesson I took from him, and I probably would have roasted him a little more if he was here, his loss, was just that basketball is a game of when to, not a game of how to. And that is me. That's the brain thing Jenny was talking about, because everybody knows how to do it, but do they know when to do it? And he drilled that into my head, and I thank him for that. Tanya Cardoza was the homie. She used to give me, she's an assistant coach, when I was at school, she used to give me a grade after every practice. She'd be like, yeah, you were like a B today. I'm like, all right, oh, you were an A today. Oh, you were an F today. But she kept it real. Her support, unwavering, and she always kept it real. And Jamel Elliott was an assistant there as well. I learned what grit was from Jamel. But I also learned, interestingly, it could look different. My grit wasn't gonna be the same as JJ's. And it was really fun being around her because, I don't know, she also kept it real, but you just always knew when you did it right. JJ would tell you if you did it right. And that had nothing to do with points or rebounds or assists. It was how you played the game. Man, I'm only on page 2, guys. We're gonna make it. Moving on, every staff member, teammate I had in college, a couple I do want to name, Shay Ralph, she was like my ACL guide. She also worked me out years later when she was an assistant, got me ready for training camp every year. Maria Collins in the house, no turnovers in the Final Four, that's how we remember you. Morgan Valley, Pint Night, your energy. Ashley Valley, she was a freshman when I was a senior and I was a little punk. She'd be like, can you drive me to CVS? I was like, okay, fine. Always blocked my shot though. There's like 3 people, like 2 guards that always block my shot. Jen Azey and Ashley Valley. I have no idea how it happened. Jessica Moore, on her recruiting trip, she made me take her to Abercrombie & Fitch. Ended up having an amazing career. And then Marcy Zell, Erga, you already know. Especially want to shout out my classmates. Swin, I'll get a little bit more to you later. Throw them books, girl. In the fire. By the way, this whole speech is going to be a whole lot of if you know, you knows. I'm sorry. I'm just going to start by saying that now. Tamika Jeter's in the house. She's actually the original connector. her personality, the way she brought people in. I learned a lot from you in that way. Asia Jones, she's up there. Calm, cool, and collected. Calm, cool, and collected. So even in just, the first couple minutes of this speech, maybe 10 minutes, you can see how I've pulled from all these people. I didn't know it in the moment, but I was a sponge from all you guys. You're everywhere. Your fingerprints are everywhere. USA Basketball is another big part of my journey, so I just want to say thank you to Carol Callan, Jim Tooley, Bree, General Dempsey, all the coaches that I played for, Van, Ann, Coach Ariema, Don Staley, all the teammates. One of them is in the building, Cheryl Swoops. Shout out Swoopers. Cheryl, actually, on one of my very first USA Basketball trips, I'm like 21. I made the World Championship team. I'm clearly there just to learn. I'm not even like smelling the court. She came up to me after like a week or two of us being together on this trip. And she was just like, hey, just so you know, like, because I was essentially the third point guard. We all know what that means. Just so you know, like, you're here for a reason. Like, in a very, like, you're here because you're good. You're here because you deserve it. You're here because you will probably be the next point guard for USA Basketball. And I think what she doesn't realize is how much that meant, first of all, to have Cheryl Swoops say that to you. Like, I wore your shoe at the Nike All-American game, like, hype as hell. But just to have somebody say that at the age of 21, I was like, oh, okay. And I really took it. It soaked inside of me, and I took that with me. So thank you, Cheryl. And then a quick shout out to like all my overseas experiences. We'll do that another time. Now on to the Storm era. We all know a lot of these stories, but Ginny actually touched on it. I remember where I was when the draft lottery happened. We were at UConn, about to do a workout, and somebody came and like, hey, guess what? Seattle Storm got the #1 pick. And I was like, damn. Where is that? That's so far. Oh my God. That's what the insides were doing. On the outside, I was like, cool, you know me. Go with the flow. But I do remember exactly where I was. And obviously when I first got here, my rookie year, I learned all about y'all. All about y'all in about 5 minutes when an officer gave me a warning for jaywalking. I was like, we were actually, what's funny is it was actually a Storm event. We were storming the sound. Remember that slogan? Remember that slogan? We were storming the sound, running around, handing out shirts or doing whatever. And I got for crossing the street. Unbelievable. We all know about the umbrellas, wimps. Megan and I were, I was kind of running through this a little bit, and we were talking, I was like, how am I gonna talk about all the citizens' arrests that happened? Like, how do I really, like, hammer that point? Because you guys do know you do that, right? It's like citizens' arrest capital of the world. Very quick. Oh, excuse me. I went through a yellow light once. Got at the next red light. Car pulls next to me. Excuse me. You went through that yellow light. Sorry about that. But yeah, so we were talking about it. It's like, you literally, you guys would not have had, I'm obviously saying this jokingly, you wouldn't have had championships, all those playoffs runs, because your girl would have been doing 25 to life if that was real. I wouldn't have even been here if that were real. That is the one way in which we just don't vibe in the car. It just doesn't work. But I have adjusted, and I can say, Puyallup, shout out. I cannot say just Snohomish? Swimmamish? Swimming? But the biggest adjustment of my career was the air conditioning. What? I got out here, it was a shock. I was like, where is the air conditioning? I was like banging on my heater thing, like, why isn't this thermostat working? I could not understand it. I actually had a fire station outside of my apartment my rookie year. So leaving the window open wasn't really like a thing, because the fire station it was a nightmare. And all I was warned about was the Seattle freeze that we all hear about. But I was sweating. I was like, this whole summer I was hot. It was hot. I was sweating. I was like, everyone's talking about the Seattle freeze, but I'm like, where is it? Because everywhere you go here is hot. For those that aren't Seattleites, they don't have AC in their houses. It's wild. Now they're starting to. But the good thing about all of that was I didn't have to worry about the Seattle freeze because I had the storm. I had a built-in family. I had built-in friends. I had all y'all. And now we're entering my rookie year on the timeline. Wow, this is long. The first people I met, Lynn Dunn, Karen Bryant, Missy Beckett, they actually picked me up in a limo. What? Yeah, went right to a Sonics playoff game, living the good life. But it was amazing. Some of my early memories, Michelle Marciniak calling me on day one. She was the other point guard on the team, taking me to breakfast, welcoming me to the city. Sharman Smith showing me where the Fred Meyer in Ballard was. For like a year, I'm not joking either, I thought that was the only grocery store in Seattle. So every time I had to make a run, I'd drive to Ballard. I was like, well, it's the only one they got. And then finally, somebody put me on to Larry's, now known as Metropolitan Market, down the street. I was like, oh, it is kind of hidden, though, when you think about it, right? You gotta, like, go down. Anyways. Then, of course, there's Lynn Dunn. Carrie Graff, Gary Kloppenberg, also. Talbot in the house. Everyone was around. Lynn was amazing. Lynn was special. Lynn, it was the first time I had ever heard, well, that was $1 million move and a 10-cent finish. You'd make a move and blow the layup. You were getting one of those right away. But in a lot of ways, Lynn was ahead of her time. She really was. Progressive, ahead of her time. She always had money readily available for us in the form of challenges. And you guys know at shoot around, we'd take half-court shots, there's money. Nah, guys, I'm gonna give you some ideas. She would be like, whoever makes 10 threes at the end of practice in a row, I'll give you $100. We'd be out there like, just trying to get them up. Get them up, get them up. Same with free throws. She'd give us money if we went and made 10 free throws. It was amazing. But what I'll always remember about Lynn is the quote where she says she wasn't gonna trade me. Because that was somebody choosing me. That was somebody picking me. And as an athlete, you don't always get to experience that. And it was really special. She also threw the keys, threw the storm keys, and let me take this thing for a spin. And I think that was really important for my growth as a rookie. Just to be able to make mistakes, have fun, be free, team up with Lauren, all that stuff. And just go out there and ball. We didn't have to think about anything else. And she really allowed me to find my way as a player through that. So I'm always grateful for that. There's some teammates. Adia Barnes is here. Adia is my first assist. She's also my first WNBA roommate. Yeah, we were roommates. We also have a nickname for her that she's gonna hate, but we used to call her Shadia. She can be a little shady. You're a little shady. But some of my favorite memories are maybe not of that rookie year, but her battles with Betty Lennox. Those go down in infamy. Because Betty would refer to Betty as Betty. And so Betty would make a shot and be like, good offense, Betty. And there was this one practice where Adia was guarding her, kind of like, I don't know, stole it, blocker shot. She's like, good defense, Adia. I was like, ooh, you shady, girl. But I'm so proud of you, Adia. It's so amazing to see what you're doing at Arizona. Definitely give it up for that. Hot. Lauren, I'll get to you later. I also do want to, Wally Walker's in the building, and we obviously all miss the Sonics and we want them to come back, but my early years, yeah, we can clap for that. My early years, the Sonics are really embedded in a lot of my memories. We shared a practice facility with them. You know, so whether it was someone like Wally, Billy McKinney was helping our team out at that time in an executive role. He'd be out there in practice with us. Dwayne Casey would come on the court, show me how to beat an ice. You know, like, it was really wonderful to have that relationship. So I just want to give the artist formerly known as the Sonics a little cred. They played a big role. And even to this day, I didn't write you back yet, Wally, but I did get your text. I will write you back. So then we fast forward. We fast forward to, 2004. I lost my spot. There it is. We fast forward to 2004 and our first championship, and that was amazing. I just want to thank everybody who was a part of that. Winning on our home floor, I never got to do that again, and it was really special to share that in the Key Arena. I'd be remiss without naming some teammates. Tully, Cherie Sam, who's here. I still have not forgiven you for spilling wine on my bag. Betty Lennox, of course. Kamila Vadichkova, she was like a team mom. Miss Kamila a lot. Obviously Simone, and many, many others. We had a wonderful run, and I think about the parade. I think about winning in this city. I think about Ann Donovan. And Jenny mentioned it. Ann was a post-player coach. It was tough. It was tough. We were just, getting to know each other. She really didn't get me. I really didn't get her. But we were able to come together in a way because of that. It was like the differences is what allowed us to have a good player-coach relationship. And I got to see things through a post-player's eyes for the first time. I never thought that position was difficult. I was like, you guys I think I said this to you once, CD. I was like, yeah, they just run. They just go from there to there, and like maybe they get the ball, and I tell them what to do. Like, how hard is this? They don't have to think about anything. You put the ball in the hoop, yeah, but... No, but I learned through Ann. It's not easy. It's not easy. And the ways in which Ann invested in Lauren as a player, it shaped that roster, that team, but it also shaped you. And so watching Ann have the impact she had on you was also really enjoyable for me. I'm pointing to Lauren, obviously. She has the best bobblehead of all time. Ann Donovan does. Google it. At shoot-around, we'd come in, we'd warm up, everybody get a ball. Half the team on this side, half the team on that side. You kind of, go up and back from half court to the baseline. When you get to the hoop, you throw something up. You're just getting warm. Ann would go on one side and try to block our shots. It's literally both the funniest and hardest thing I've ever been a part of, because you're literally trying to score on her and you can't. And she's talking trash. She's like, get that out of here. Oh, you're not gonna bring that weak stuff in? Like, literally blocking us. It was so much fun. I'm like, looking back, I'm like, how did I not develop a floater then? What a missed opportunity. But she was just also ahead of her time. Jenny mentioned the all-women's staff. She was also an Olympic coach. And when I think of those years, though, to tie it back to Lauren real fast, I do think of just being told to get the ball to Lauren all the time. Get the ball to Lauren. What are we doing? We're getting the ball to Lauren. And then there would be years where we'd have like locked up our playoff spot. So, there's like 2 games left. The games don't matter. Lauren always had to rest. And I'm just messing. And then when Lauren wasn't playing, Ann would be like, what's wrong with you guys? I'm like, I don't know. We don't know what to do. Lauren's not here. You told us to get her the ball. We don't know how to play. But I really do have some fond memories of that. But it does bring me, because when you fast forward to 2010, we won't talk about all those playoff losses. When you fast forward to 2010, our next championship, which is the Brian Agler era, it went from get the ball to Lauren to get the ball in Sue and T's hands. Get the ball to Sue and T's hands, like a mantra. He told me all the time, keep the ball in your hands, keep the ball in your hands. Anytime I passed it, get the ball back, get the ball back. What are you doing? Get it back, get it back, get it back, get it back. Get out of her hands, get out of her hands. I'm like, I can't just go grab it. But that year was really special. It was special because we had lost in the first round, but it really was special. And of course, those teammates, Swin, LaCo, Lauren, Camille Little, my work wife, that was Brian's gift to us, calling us work wives. And then we were out one night, and some person was talking to me a little too close, and if you know what I'm saying, and someone went up to Camille and was like, yo, you're gonna let her talk to your girl like that? That's when you take the work wife a little too far, right? Camille was like, what? Oh, yeah, my work wife. So if you guys ever saw us post about wifey, that's what we were talking about. A-Rob up top, sharing moments. That's my favorite thing about A-Rob. My little niece has alopecia. She's here tonight. And Ashley Robinson brought her a little gift bag care package of all products that can help people who are dealing with alopecia, and also some cute little earrings so she can style it up. I mean, if that doesn't speak to who A-Rob is, I don't know what does. And then Tanisha. Man, Tanisha. I'll talk about you later too. But Brian, you know, his fingerprints were all over that team. To play for Brian is to speak another language, because he had a lot of isms. First of all, I don't know if this is like a whole Ohio thing, but he would say, like, go across. You remember that? We're gonna go across the lane. It took me a while to get used to that one. Play in the tunnel. I reserve the right to change my mind is a big one of Brian's, because we'd be like, Brian, what are we doing in the pick and roll? Oh, we want to do it this way. This is what we're doing, but I reserve the right to change my mind. But yesterday you said we're gonna do this. I reserve the right to change my mind. Okay. And he would always want to play Becky Hammon in shoot-arounds. You know, we do our little scout report. He always tried to be Becky Hammon, and he would go so hard at Tanisha. Oh man, such good memories. His play calling was like air traffic control. So in those years, I'm sure you saw a lot of me doing like a whole bunch of these and the whole thing. And then we had Eva Kobrin join the team. She's from Poland. And she came up to me one day and she goes, Sue, what does this play? And I was like, what? She goes, this one. What is this one? What is this one? And I was like, I don't think, what do you mean? She goes, when you do your ponytail like this, which play call is that? I was like, no, girl, that's just me OCDing out. That's not a play call. That's just me with my shoelaces and all the things, just getting it in. But yeah, I think the one thing I do want to share about Brian, other than the stinky leg dance, is he believed in me. You know, I talked about Lynn, the influence there, and the influence there. Brian believed in me. And because he believed in me, I believed in me. And it's really special when I think back on those years. It's the conversations, you know, he was notorious for pulling you to the side in the airport. He'd pull me to the side, we would talk, 99% was basketball, but every now and then we would talk about something in life. And I just knew he like really saw me and believed in me and wanted the best for me. And he brought out the best in me. Those were some of my best years on the court. And I'm so thankful to Brian for that. Oh man, now we're gonna enter the 2016 era, the rebuild. Dun, dun, dun. You know, it's interesting because as I was putting these thoughts together, and we still have a long way to go, I'm so sorry. As I was pulling these thoughts together, it really is true. It's people ask me all the time, like, what are your favorite championships or seasons or this or that? 2016 is one of my absolute favorite seasons. We didn't win. And has nothing to do with that. It's one of my absolute favorite seasons. And if I'm being honest, as we go through 17, 18, 19, 20, and so on, till the end, this little era, it actually does stick out a little bit. It is a little bit different, because I truly believe I was on borrowed time at that point. Because I am a point guard and we can play longer. Sorry. But I really was on borrowed time, and it started a little bit in 2015, but then especially in 2016, because we get Jewel and Stewie. And now everything's gonna be okay. When I, quote, signed up for the rebuild, I really didn't think I'd ever get to the playoffs, and let alone the finals, which comes later, but we really didn't think that. It wasn't about that. It became about something else. Not about me, not about stats or wins or losses, just about something else, building something, a culture, a foundation. And it was hard, because taking L's is tough. Whew, even when you're rebuilding, it's so hard. But I don't know, there was always, you felt it. There was something bigger happening. I knew I had a chance to really leave a mark that goes beyond rings. It goes beyond rings. And that's what 2016 really represents. Jewel, Stewie, AC, Lang, the OG game day fitter. I mean, you guys see us in the tunnel now. That was Lang. Lang started that. I mean, not to mention she doesn't miss layups, and she's got, all the moves. I loved playing with Lang, but she is the OG fit. Kalina, Abby Bishop, Noe, Jenna, Talk. Guys, Talk is here. Surprise! She DM'd me, and I'm pretty sure, speaking of ChatGPT, either your English got real good or Diane wrote that thing for you. But I'm so excited Talk's in the building. I don't know, just so much was started then. Even something as small as before we'd go out to the locker room, there's the song that starts, I'm like, hey, what's up, hello, such a pretty. The way it starts at the very beginning, I don't even know what it means. Hopefully it doesn't mean anything bad. He says, 1738. I don't even know what it means. And that's the exact time. I played that song every game, every year for the next 7 years, right before we came onto this court. And I would play the beginning, and right when it hit 1738, I would try to time it to get it right when the game clock said 1738. And anytime I did it, it'd be like, yeah, we're gonna win. You know when I remember doing it though? When Jewel hit that buzzer beater against LA in the bubble. We did it that game. Because sometimes I would go away from it, come back as a little surprise in the later years, and that was that game. So, see? Works. But just little things like that. And then, of course, we had Jenny, who was here to kind of lead us through it. And she obviously said so many nice things about me, but I mean, Jenny, I can't even go into the impact you've had on my career. I don't even know where to begin. You were an assistant, then that kind of transitioned into, I don't even know what to call it, almost like a personal coach, getting to text you and call you and go through things. Then you come back to the franchise as an assistant again, then a head coach. But then even anytime you weren't with us, I always could hit you up and talk shop. And what you brought out of me, I don't know that I can ever repay you. I always knew I was kind of smart out there. I knew I was trying to make the right play. By the way, Lauren, aren't you supposed to know the plays if you're a pro athlete? She says oh, Sue knows all the plays. What's the other option? I don't get it. Anyways. But yeah, I mean, you really set the building blocks for this franchise in those rebuild years. It allowed us to win multiple championships after that, but you set them for me too, on what this next chapter was gonna be. You helped me when I was younger, for sure, but it was different in this second part. In this borrowed time part, it was different because I was a little slower, which you told me. And, I couldn't do the thing. I mean, honestly, even Lauren, you being the way she broke down the defense, I was like, oh yeah, I did do that once. Because when you get older, there's a little bit of a grief. You have to grieve the athleticism that you had and you lose. And Jenny, you helped me find another way. You helped me find another way to be impactful and to be successful. And I mean, do things I didn't even know I could do. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, I'll give it up for that. So then we move on to 2018, which I know I'm gonna say this, I might regret it. I think it's my favorite championship. I'm sorry, I know. I just never thought we were gonna get back. I never thought we were gonna get back. I know, I never thought we were gonna get back. So it just meant so much because, we have Dan, you joined our team then, and yeah, Dan's in the house. And also Klopp, C-Rob. Oh, fun fact about Crystal Robinson, this is actually a great story. I scored my first basket on Crystal Robinson. Yeah, and at some point, because as we all know, there's some very funny stories when I got older, like, when a player's mom was my age and all those things. But as I got older, like all these little tidbits and stats would come out, and somebody found out that that I scored my first basket on C-Rob, and they were clowning her, like some of the younger players on the team. And she was just like, she's still giving you buckets now. Like, she was 21 then. What's your excuse? She was a character. But yeah, Dan, you joined the team, and I do have some funnies about you that I'm going to share. But what you gave to me, Dan, was you empowered me to be me. You empowered me to be me. And I know there's a lot of jokes about, like, which was very funny, that I have coached every coach that's ever coached here. But the truth is, like, this is what made me different. And so, Dan, you allowed me to be that. You really did. I would say to Megan all the time, like, you gave me free reign in such a wonderful way. And I really enjoyed that partnership with you. And it led to an amazing year. 2018 was an amazing year. And that's why we let it slide when you called us the Stars the entire season. Dan came from San Antonio, and you were there for a really long time. Honestly, I'll be honest, sometimes I go to USA Basketball, and they're like, like, USA on 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm like, Storm. Oh, USA. It just happens sometimes. It happens to all of us. Dan, man, for months, he could not say Storm. He'd be like, all right, guys, bring it in. Stars on 3. And all of us would be like, Dan, we're at the Storm. It was so funny. But that's also what made that year great. We added Jordan, Sadie's, Tosh, Sammy, you were back for year 2 by then. And we just had such a great group. Like all those vibes I was talking about in 2016, squad goals, that went with us, only we added to it. And from the coaching staff perspective, from a teammate perspective, it made it so special. And winning the ring that year, like I said, I was on borrowed time. I never thought we'd get to the playoffs. I never thought I'd have the game I had against Phoenix. I mean, what? I'm like, it's unbelievable to think about that. I'm 30, about to be 38 years old in that moment. I'm 37 going on 38. And to have that kind of a moment, mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. And a quick shout out, I know it's kind of in a negative connotation, but I will take this time to give Diana a quick shout because, it's like, this moment feels so much about the Storm, and it is, but obviously how do you not talk about someone who played such a huge role? And Diana is my best friend, my biggest competitor. I'm so glad that game happened against her. But also, she's, I've taken a lick or two myself, so it's even. But just want to say I love you, Dee, and thank you for everything you've meant in my career. If we move along to 2020, Klopp, Noe, first of all, shout out Klopp because he was probably the perfect head coach in the bubble because that man was down for the cause. Like anything we needed, Klopp was always, he was like, whatever you guys need from an activism standpoint, whatever you guys need, I got you. I believe in you. Like whatever we needed, it was perfect. And obviously Klopp was my assistant back in the day. And so to have him as a head coach was a full circle moment. And then I got to see Noe kind of go from teammate. She was an assistant in 2019, but this is the first time I was working with Noe. And so to see the evolution from teammate to an assistant, obviously head coach, we'll get to that in a sec. But that was also really fun to watch you and see you develop that. The bubble is where we as a league created change. I mean, what else do you say? That's what this league is. That's the women of this league, and you're going to see more of that. It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. And I think we're just really lucky that we also got to hold up a trophy, because it was tough. It was tough. I was actually telling Ben when we were watching the game, he was like, oh, do you know the refs? And I was like, yeah, I know the refs. And I was like, I got to know them real well in the bubble because these fools wouldn't leave the pool. It's our pool. They wouldn't leave the pool. We only had one pool in the bubble. I digress. But yeah, that season was incredible. And then fast forward now, we're caught up real time, at least a little bit, last year's season. My final season was storybook. It was missing one little thing at the end. That's okay. Otherwise, it was a storybook. From the people I got to do it with every day in the locker room, with this organization, with you, Noe, Pokey, Eb, Perry. Perry's like a baby Jenny. Like, the way I talk shop with Jenny, I got to talk shop with Perry too. Same with you, Noe, but then you became a head coach, it changed. But Perry, that was Perry. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, obviously being here and celebrating with you all, but going on the road was a little bit mind-blowing for me, and seeing how other fan bases were celebrating it. It was just unbelievable. I have so many special memories. I wouldn't even know where to begin. But back to Noe, watching you evolve, I had a front row seat to that, and it's pretty amazing. It's pretty impressive what you're doing and what you've been able to do. And I was thinking back on it, and it's like we were both kind of evolving. You were evolving into something, and I was, I guess, evolving out of something. And we're kind of like going through this together. And I think when you're able to, again, in reflection, I thought of this, watch somebody do that, it sparks so much inside of you, inside of me. So I just want to thank you for that. And like I said, I was doing my own evolving in that last year. And, I just want to take a second now to speak of some other evolutions in my life in Seattle, like my bar evolution. We went from Aussies every night to Kangaroo and Kiwi when Lauren wanted, my adventures at the Rose, and then eventually upgraded myself to 90s night at Havana. Stellar. I don't know if they still do it on Tuesday nights. Then there's my restaurant evolution. From Cheesecake Factory to the Met to Wasabi, How to Cook a Wolf, and now you can find me at Betty most nights. So you can see how I was growing in these ways. Aussie's a little different from 90s night. Cheesecake a little different from Betty. Then there's the clothing evolution. From jean skirts to this. From being straight, haired, to now rocking the curls. I guess my point is there's been a lot of evolving that has occurred both on this court, off the court, so much impact from the people that I've already named, but now I do have a little bit of a special list that I'd like to hit. Lindsay, everyone at Wasserman, I can list all the names. We'd be here forever, though. I just want to thank you for guiding me through all of this. If my impact on the WNBA is seen and felt in the ways that you said and that other people have said, it's a direct relation and correlation to what you have helped bring out of me. When you can't find the words, Lindsay helps you find them. When you can't find the meaning, Lindsay helps you find it. And she molds it, and sometimes you get going, and sometimes it takes me a second, but then by the end of the text thread, I'm like, oh, there it is, yeah. And I'm just so thankful for that. And I think women's basketball has obviously changed so much. You've always been ahead of that. It's like if we're all living in 2023, Lindsay's been in 2055 this whole time. Like seeing it all from that year, like, just trust me, do this, or just trust me, do that. Especially when it comes to women's basketball, the way the world views us. She's already been seeing us in that light. And so it's really special to have been able to share that with you. But I'm also really excited for this next journey, because I think our relationship is gonna become more like a partnership. I mean, it already is, but it's gonna be more of this, like, we get to do this together and kind of change the world in a different way that has nothing to do with putting a ball in a hoop. And it's gonna be really fun. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, this one's gonna be tough. Susan. For those that don't know, Susan Borchert is the head of the athlete blueprint, and you have quite literally saved my career, without a doubt. Yeah. Susan joined our team as a strength coach, and that's when we met. And it was probably the next year or two, I had one of my injuries, but it was a stretch where I'd had 2 hip surgeries and a knee surgery within the span of like a year and a half. It's a lot. And I was in my early 30s at this point, you know, tiptoeing on 35, I think, and my body wasn't good. It was bad. And I just was like, all right, because she had been, hey, why don't you try this recipe, or why don't you try this Pilates class? And then finally I was like, whatever you say, I will do. And that was 2013, heading into like 14, 15, and it's the best decision I ever made. It's the best decision I ever made. Not only are you amazing at what you do, not only did you get some mileage out of these knees, out of these hips, out of this bod, you do it in such a way where you make squatting for a minute in a row not feel so bad. Because, you know, Susan's on the other end, just bubbly and happily like, you got it. I know you're dying, but it's fine. You just have a way about you. And I think my favorite part, outside that you have 4 kids, I don't even know when you do this all. I'm like, when? And then she'll like come work us out in Seattle and bring me puppy chow. I'm like, when did you make that? Like, when do you have time for this? I don't get it. If anyone doesn't know what puppy chow is, I didn't, so it's amazing. What I most enjoy about working with you is just, yes, your positivity, and yes, the ways in which you communicate things, but the way in which you listen to the athlete, and you're so collaborative. It's unbelievable. She just always wants what's best for you. That's all she cares about. And it's really rare to have somebody who's willing to do that. If you're going on a road trip but something changes, or not a road trip in season, if I'm traveling and something changes, I'm like, Susan, I'm actually at this hotel, not this hotel. No problem. Calls the hotel, sees what they have in the workout room, calls like, you know, I don't know, a YMCA down the street. Okay, they have a pool, you'll be able to swim. And I'm like, damn. I was hoping she wouldn't find one. But that's who you are. You just find a way for everyone. You make things happen, and you made them happen for me, and I'm so thankful for that. I love our friendship. I do still work with Susan, which is kind of funny, because I'll be like, hey, what's my workout today? Like, this means nothing, but... And you were very sweet even in that moment. You were like, elite athlete, basically something, I'm ad-libbing, but like, elite athletes never die. It's okay. You're competing for something. I was like, yeah. Like, for the burger I'm gonna eat later. But yeah. Yeah, I wish I could hit it on the head even more, just how much, but thank you so much, Susan. I am forever grateful. Sweating. I actually have one surgeon who has done pretty much all of my knee surgery, so I do need to shout out Dr. Joyce, if he's watching. Love you. I mean, like, every time I had an issue, I would email Dr. Joyce and just be like, am I done? Are we gonna be okay? Like, what is it? And he always had like a funny way of telling me that I wasn't okay. He's like, no, your knee is that of an 80-year-old. You're not fine. He's like, but if you get it scoped and you put a little Uflex in there, like, we can see what we can do. And as long as he thought it'd be okay, I knew it would be okay. So I just want to thank him. Of course, the medical team here in Seattle, all the trainers, all the doctors. I did write a list somewhere. Yep. I'm actually going to name some coaches too, because it's you know, I said Perry, Ebony, Pokey, Leah, Shelly P, who's here tonight, Jesse Kenlaw, who's here, Heidi Vanderveer, Rob, Yoni, Aaron, Emily, Dr. Wilcox, Dr. Porcho, Dr. Carey, Dr. Erickson. In different ways, you guys all like glued me together at all times, at all years. So thank you so much. Shout out to my left knee. I couldn't go without saying, you did it. We did it. It was rough, but we did it. She still can't straighten her bend, but we did it. Man, this is harder than I thought. Okay, special shout out to the practice players. They don't always get their shine, especially Marcus, who's now on the staff, Schmedium, Mr. Schmedium himself. They help us so much, so just want to shout them out. It's gonna get harder and harder as we go, guys. Ryan Webb. So many stories to tell about Ryan, things we shared. Ryan started as a practice player. He became an assistant coach the last, I don't even know, 3, 4, 5 years, maybe less, was player development. And so Ryan and I spent so much time together. And like I said, there's so many directions I could go here. I feel like you're nervous. But my favorite memories with Ryan are we would always try to like add something new. First it was like the off foot layup, right? Like taking it on the different foot. And I started doing it. I was like, okay. And I'd look over and be like, hey, we did it. Then there was the flyby. Where's Vonnie? Is Vonnie here? Turner, yeah? You? She's not paying attention? This actually happened on her in Phoenix. A flyby is when you like are dribbling, you're gonna shoot a pull-up and you do a shot fake and you like let them fly by and then you shoot. We do the flyby, I mean, oh my God. So many times, I never did it in a game. And then somehow, I did it in that Phoenix game where I scored all those points in the fourth quarter. And it happened, I looked over Ryan, I was like, we did it, we did the flyby. And then of course, the one-legged runner that Jenny introduced that you helped me perfect. Got that one off a couple times, but not quite successfully. But I just want to thank you for pouring into me, for helping me, and then just for having fun while we did it. We always had fun while we did it, and I learned so much from you, so thank you. Quick shout to the Storm staff. Trisha, Kyle, Kim, Jeff, Seth, Kenny, Roberta, Riley, Greg, Amanda, Erica, Hannafah, Christine, Shannon, Kenny, Ryan, Nate, another Jeff, Kim Veal, Jennifer Carroll, Preston. You guys make this franchise go, and you don't always get the love. And we do complain when the socks are wet, even me sometimes. And we do complain when the Chipotle order is wrong, even me sometimes. But that is who makes this franchise go. So I just want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Matt and 3 Point Productions, Between Two Birds, that's all Matt. Between Two Birds, when we did the racing games and the things back in 2010, like that's all Matt's brainchild and his company's brainchild. And I always had so much fun on Media Day because of you guys. I mean, we had the best time, so thank you so much for that. Talisa. So Talisa is currently the GM, as we know, but T joined our team as like a dobo, like a manager dobo, and kind of just like evolved as she went. And so even though you are currently the GM, if I had to go shoot right now, you'd be the first person I'd call to come help me rebound. If I had a problem, or if I don't have my ticket for the game, I'm texting T. You just became this person that was always like a go-to for me. And you're so chill and calm, but that demeanor is really important in sports. And you brought that. You brought that even when you sit behind the bench. You brought that, you know, when we were complaining about our wet socks, you always brought that. And I just thought that was always such a special quality to have in that environment. But like I said, I mean, when we were in the bubble, because I hurt my knee there, you were the one, because everybody else had 1,000 things to do, and you were the one that was with me, rebounding for me all the time, and I just really appreciate that. Not just the rebounding, but like just that you're there. That's what it is, it's that you're there. Karen Bryant. Like I said, KB was probably one of the first people I talked to on the phone when I got drafted, definitely one of the first people to greet me here in Seattle. You know, what I said about Lynn and the picking me and the choosing me, that extends to you as well, because you were very much a part of that. And, you know, I've touched on this before. I wasn't happy when we got the #1 pick. Well, when Seattle got the #1 pick and it was my year to be drafted. It was scary, it was far. And you guys took a chance on me in a lot of ways. You know, 5'9" point guard from Syosset. Yeah, I'd won a little bit in college. It wasn't It wasn't that big of a chance, but you did see something, because you could have gotten in some amazing directions. There's one sitting right there you could have taken. You had amazing options, and you saw something in me, and you brought me here. And it's because of you that I'm here. And it's because of you that I stayed here, and I have this wonderful evening, and you played a huge role in that. You also did scare us, so there was that. I've mentioned this before. It's like anytime KB wanted to have a meeting with us, we were like, oh, what'd we do? Because she didn't really come into like the team environment all that much, right? Like wasn't there like in the locker room, or wasn't there during practice, whatever it was. But every now and then you'd show up, and it was like, uh-oh, we're in trouble. But what I'll say about that, all jokes aside, is that was part of this, like, you know, we talk about with me and Lauren, people have shared setting this standard of excellence, setting just a standard period, and that was you. Because you were like, no nonsense. It was like, this is what we're doing. We're coming here to win. That's the point, you know? But at the same time, when you got you loose, you also had this other side to you that was really fun and easy to connect with. So I really have a lot of fond memories for those years. You remember when you first started working, after you stopped with the Storm, you first started working with Atlanta? And I was like, wait a minute, but you're ours. I'm like, you can work for another WNBA team? I took it very personally. I don't anymore, but I did. Because that's how I felt about you, that you were ours, and you still are in many ways. So thank you very much. That can bring us to Alicia. Obviously, big shoes to fill coming in for KB. And what was so amazing about that transition was this standard of excellence that KB set, that was always there. You kept that going, and you kept that culture going, but you did it in your own way. You did it in your own way, and you see it now. You see it in a rebrand, or you see it in some of the sponsorship deals we have. You see it in the personality of what we're doing. You have, you know, you're the archetype of a lot of that. The fingerprints are all over it, and it's been fun getting to know you as a friend. It's been fun going through all this process with you, and I'm just really thankful. I'm really thankful, because this part of my career, even though I'm so thankful for it, it might be my favorite because I was on this borrowed time. And so I have all these wonderful, it was really hard too. And you were there every step of the way through a lot of those, you know, the ups and downs. And you're always so positive. You know, even when, you know, if you know Alicia, she loves playing games. It's like, even when you're like playing a game, you're always just like, yeah, I'm gonna win. It's just like her vibe, and that's contagious. That's contagious. So thank you for everything you did for me, and thank you for everything you've done for the Storm. Oh, man. This is page 6. Are we all okay? Do we need a break? Are we good? I know, I feel like everyone expected me to come out here and just like roast all of y'all. And now I'm trying, I was trying to do it from the heart. To the ownership group, Lisa, Celeste, Jenny, Lynn, Dawn. When Ann was here in the start as well, you guys now. I would 100% not be, I would not have gone to Oklahoma. I feel like I know that. And so, not only did you save the franchise, save the team, I don't have this if that doesn't happen. I don't get to play for the same franchise my whole career. I don't get to have this relationship with this fan base, with the people you see here. I don't get to have that. And so I do have some little notes written about each of you and how you inspire me, and listening to your journeys when you first bought the team, and, you know, Dawn going from, you know, this state to that state and ended up in Seattle, and all of a sudden she's like, yeah, and I was like one of 10 people. We were selling this thing. It's called, you guys know it as Microsoft Excel. We were like, what? You know, just I can literally go down the line and talk about the ways you've inspired me, the ways you've taught me, the things I've learned from you. I really can, but more than anything, I just don't have this night without you. And that means more than anything. I just really don't. yeah, I'm just incredibly thankful for that. I really have no other way to say it. It's been fun getting to know you. Fun fact, for those that don't know, Lisa and Celeste do live above Megan and I. So sorry about last night. Did you hear us? Oh. We gotta turn it up next time. No, but whether it's seeing you guys in the garage and just being like, hey, what's up? How was your day? Cool. You know, whether it's, you know, coming over to your guys' house and grabbing dinner and just kind of connecting in that way. You know, Dawn, you've offered to take me to the market 1,000 times. I will go at some point, I promise. Dawn's like a Pike Place market savant. It's just so amazing to get to know you guys as people outside of the ownership part, because think about believing in something so much you actually put your money there. That's you guys. And you see a vision. And that's different. So it's just been so inspiring to play for you, to work with you, and I hope, you know, we can do great things beyond. But thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I still have so much more to go, guys. Okay. Lauren. Lauren. No roasting. No roasting tonight. No roasting tonight. I do feel like I said it all at your retirement in some wonderful ways. I do want to echo what I said, which is just, I loved playing with you. You brought out the best in me. You brought out the best in all of us. We were so different, but together, we were like the perfect complement. I loved being your teammate. I love being your friend more. It was so amazing to play with you. I feel so lucky. I brag about you to people when they try to be like, oh, so-and-so's a good center. I'm like, no. Y'all don't know. But what I do want to talk about here is just take a moment to say how proud I am of you for these last couple years and what you've done. You made two beautiful humans, one of which is jet lagged and absolutely dying right now. I'm so sorry, Harry. If you're staying awake for this speech, though, it must be all right. So not only have you become a mom, you, after all that you had been through, you got to go out on your own terms. And that is no small thing, because I know how hard that was for you to have things end the way it did. And I know how difficult and hard it was for you to get back on the court. I mean, I can only imagine a knee replacement. Low-key, I was like, ooh, there's hope for me. But we kept in touch during that time, and every now and then you would share with me how I inspired you, playing into those late years, being an older player, what that was like, asking me questions, and talking about both the physical part of it, the mental part of it, all of that. And then you went and did it. And now I'm literally looking at you inspired. So it's just been amazing to watch, and I'm so happy for you, and I'm so proud of you. Swin, legit sisters, man. I mean, the family vibes here, they're real. Love like sisters, fight like sisters. But you're someone else. I think when I pick out certain teammates, it's not that I can't talk about all of them. I can, and I would. I don't even want to know how long I've been talking already. Clearly, I don't have time for that. It's just there are some that stick out a little bit. And there's ones that no matter what, you do want to go to war with. And when you step on the floor with, you do feel better. They do make you feel like a little bit better out there. And Swin, you're one of them, for sure. When people ask me, without a doubt, who'd you most enjoy playing with, or what? You. 100%. It started in college. It obviously went beyond that. I said this at your retirement, I believe. Seeing a player go from one position to another, I mean, off the top of my head, there's maybe like 2 others I can think of who kind of did it, and Swin's one of those players. That is so hard to go from a post player to a guard, and you did it. Because to know Swin is to know that if Swin wants to do something, Swin's gonna do it. You can't get in Swin's way. That's why we fight, but it's also why I think we have such a deep mutual respect. And it's been so wonderful to see you thrive the way you are now in your, I guess, next chapter. I guess it's your current chapter now. But it is really amazing, and you're continuing to pave the way, blaze trails. That's you. You've been that from day one. Swin has always, like, even something small, like wearing cool shoes on the court. Swin was wearing J's before any of us were wearing J's on the, like, for real. Like, Swin was always ahead, and that's who you are now, and you're gonna continue to do that, and I love you so much. Tanisha Wright couldn't be here, but T is one of my all-time faves as well. She hated being a point guard. Oh my God. This woman hated being a point guard, and the poor thing had to play it. And it was so much fun, though, seeing her grow. That was probably like my first, like what I will end up talking about with Jewel and Stewie. T was a little of like my first taste of that. We're obviously much similar in age, but I got to help her. I got to guide her. I understood at that point like what it was to bring somebody along and to kind of show them the ropes. This just being from a position standpoint. But, you know, she said it, a safety blanket to this day. We'll just get to voice noting each other, venting about something or talking about this, and it just feels safe. It just feels safe. She's such a solid person. T, you're such a solid person, so loyal. And, you know, even though I don't get to see you all that much, it's just the second we're together, the second we do those voice notes, it is like a safety blanket. So I just want to shout out T and say thank you, and I love you, T. Jewel and Stewie, they're just like one person. Sometimes I say Stool and Jewy. It's one of those, anyways. Outside of the alley-oops, which to this day pain me, you two came into my life, my basketball life. I mean, what gifts? What gifts for this old, aging point guard to play with these two, like, amazingly talented balls of dumb clay. And I just got to mold you. I got to make you my own little... No, you guys aren't dumb, I'm joking. Dumb in like a funny way, because like, you're 21. Like, we were dumb, trust me. Meant that in no serious way, of course. But, you know, Jewel, the thing that I remember about Jewel when I first met her, we went to Pesos. Yep, grabbed a beer with my new teammate at Pesos. I don't even think you're a drinker. So she didn't really know what to order, which was funny. But even in that moment, you were, you know, I joke about the youth and the ball of clay and all that stuff, but you had, there was like an air about you that was beyond you were just like, you weren't 22. Because you had like because it wasn't like confidence yet, but it was there. And it wasn't like a certainty of yourself yet, but it's here now. It wasn't, but like I could just sense you were like beyond your age. I wasn't just hanging out with like a typical 22-year-old. You kind of just like, you were like, yep, I have a brother and he's gonna help me with my finances and we're gonna do this and I'd like to do that. And you just like, you had goals, you knew what you wanted. And I always was really clearly like, that resonated. There was just something about you. And then how fun for me, knowing what your goals were, that I got to be a part of that journey. Because even though I can sit here and talk about, you know, the ways that I helped you or the ways that I helped Stewie, like giving you guys knowledge, you guys probably helped me more than you realize. You really did. You helped me more than you realize. I love playing with you, Jewel. I really never, and this is no shade to anyone else, I really never got to play with a guard like you until you got here. We had some really good guards, don't get me wrong, but not like you. Betty Lennox a little bit for sure, but you were on another level. And to see your game grow, to see you grow as a person, as a human, as a basketball player, I'm still so excited that I have a courtside seat. I get to watch it continue. It's been so fun. I'm so proud of you. You are... You are really becoming such a wonderful player to watch, but such a wonderful leader to watch. I see how your teammates interact with you. And I'm impressed. I'm I'm impressed. You come over, you're like, hey, do you see anything? I'm like, you got it. Like, I can tell, like, you really do, you have it. Very similar with Stewie. I absolutely loved playing with Stewie. I do want to thank her for everything she gave me as a teammate, as a friend. Man, it's like Susan saved my career, and then you two saved my career. That's really how I see it. I know that's kind of dramatic, but it's really how I see it. When we drafted Stewie, I was a free agent, you know, and we had just come off a really tough season. Like I said, even when you're in a rebuild, losing is tough. And the minute we got that #1 pick, I was like, nope, I'm good, I'm staying. We're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. She went to UConn and said, I'm winning 4. She won 4. She's coming here. We're gonna be all right. And it's true. And to watch Stewie as a rookie, looking back even at the pictures, it's so funny. It's so funny. I have similar when you look at my pictures, so I can say it. But I bring that up to talk about her evolution as well. Seeing Stewie now, seeing you now, Stewie, if you're watching, you're a mom. You are the face of this league. I think the thing that is always so mind-blowing about Stewie is she really does do what she's gonna say. Like, she's like, no, we're just gonna win. And then she does. She's like, no, like, you know, this is gonna happen. And she just does it. And there's really not many players that back it up like that. Every big moment, she's ready. Every big game, she's ready. And it was so fun to play a role, both in your career, Jewel, as well as your career, Stewie. Just to know that a little piece of me, when I watch you guys play, I see a little piece of me out there. But now you're both kind of running and doing it in your own way, and it's just really, yeah, I don't have kids, obviously, but it's kind of like the feeling I would assume a parent gets, and it's really enjoyable. And I think the gift, you know, outside of the 2 championships, the greatest gift you guys could have given me was when I heard your press conference after my final game here, and you two called each other to say, we got to win for Sue. We got to ball out and win for Sue. And you both did. You both did. I know we didn't win the game, we didn't win the series, but you both did. I'm so thankful for that. That means so much. To all my friends who were here, the homies, they're the one that were keeping Lisa and Celeste up last night. When I think of my friends, which will segue into my family, and this already got brought up, this theme, you guys show up. You guys show up. My oldest and dearest is Brad. Him and his family, the Barnett family, became my second family. And Brad, you know how much I love you. I mean, words can't even, you've been there for everything. I perfected my autograph in Brad's basement. Just do-do-do. And he was there, so you've literally been there for it all. And I'm just so thankful for your friendship. Other people who are here, Marie, you and your family, so much love for during the pandemic. I mean, it goes beyond this. But they have a basketball court, and that was the only way I could work out. So Megan and I would drive an hour and a half so I could use their basketball court during the pandemic, getting ready for the W season. But they show up in other ways. Marcy, you're here. Megan Boots, you guys are here. Ashley Colucci, Shane, and Nicole Conway. These are people, guys, I played like CYO in 2nd grade with Ashley. And she's here today. Like, this is what I mean by showing up. This is what I mean by showing up. Nicole was my AAU teammate. Megan Boots, I mean, you guys know. These two and Marie, they came to DC when we played the Mystics in the finals in 2018. They come to Olympics. They come everywhere. They're here tonight. I mean, it's unbelievable the way that you guys have shown up for me. Yes, as a basketball player, but it has nothing to do with that. I'm sure 9 times out of 10, you don't even want to go to the game. You're like, what are we doing after, though? No, I'm joking. But the way you guys have supported me and shown love is so meaningful. I'll cherish it forever. So thank you guys for being here. We're so close. To my family, you guys also show up. My mom, my dad, kind of how I was talking about with Jewel and Stewie. I hope when you guys watched me play, you saw pieces of you and the things that I took from you, the things I learned from you. My mom never cared if we won or lost. And I think all she cared was about like me, the little kid, the person, you know? If I had a terrible game, I get in the car. It was where you want to go eat. Life went on. But I had that in me. I still have that in me. Yeah, of course I'm mad when we win, we lose, whatever it is. Or not when we win, when we lose. Wait a minute. But life went on. In fact, when I tore my ACL in college, this is my dad's favorite story, the coaching staff, I tore my ACL, I'm out for the season, freshman year done. The coaching staff calls my parents and they're like, we're worried about Sue. And my parents are like, what? She's taking this too well. She's taking it way too well. But I got that from you, Mom, and that's balance. Your humor, all of it. That was the balance I needed. And Dad, you know, it's interesting because my dad's a big basketball fan. If any of you have ever spoken to him, you know this. Sorry about that. But from you, Dad, I got like a realism. You always kept it real. And that's how I went, like Jenny, when we do workouts, Ryan, we do workouts. When it's not real, I'm like, this is fake. This is not hard enough. This isn't what, and I got that from you, Dad. Like, you judge things fairly. You really do. You're fair. And there's a real in there that I took with me as a player. I always wanted people to keep it real with me because that's how you get the best out of yourself. So if we won or lost and I got back in the car as a little kid, my dad would be like, ooh, you were bad. Look, he's nodding. He's like, yeah. And that, by the way, and if I played well, he would tell me that as well. That, you did that up until like, literally like the last game. Like quite literally. You know, in those final moments, you know, when I hit the shot in the corner, I'd have a text from my dad like, wow, incredible shot. And you know, when we lost game 4, maybe it was like, you had too many turnovers. But you always kept it real, and I always appreciated that. To my little nieces, you guys gave me a whole other purpose when you were born. And in these last 10 years, one of them's 10, one of them's 8. It's been so fun to play for you. It's been so fun to have you here to watch me. And I know I'm your cool Aunt Sue. And I know that there's a chance that I get to inspire you, but you guys inspire me because you gave me this whole other reason. And I'm so thankful for your guys' support. They wanted me to come out here. I was like, how should I start this thing? They were like, just go out there and be like, hello, everybody, I'm Mickey Mouse. But then it was you, Zoe, and I thought this was kind of meaningful. You're like, why don't you just tell them, like, hey, everybody, I'm Aunt Sue. Hey, everybody, I'm Aunt Sue. And I played basketball for a really long time, but then I didn't want to play basketball anymore because now I have to do other things, and they're going to be more important things. So I'm just going to go do those now. And I was like, oh, that actually works. I probably could have got up there and said that, just dropped the mic. But in some ways, I am ending one chapter to not become your aunt, but become more of your aunt, be more present. And so I'm just very excited for that. Jen, my big sis. Obviously the theme here is the ways in which people have impacted, and you're the original, the OG, like standard setter. Jen is, by my measure, basically a genius. And she's 5 years older, and I wanted to do everything you did. I wanted to follow you. I wanted to be you. I always joke, thank God she picked up a basketball, because I was just going to do whatever she did. But you always did it, oh God, with class, yes, but just like a resilience. When you get laser focused on something, I mean, she's a legal recruiter on the East Coast, and then was just like, oh, I'm going to open a bookstore. And just like casually opens a family bookstore, not even her job. But like, that's you, the way you can, it's just unbelievable, the expectations and the standard you set for yourself throughout your life. And I got to watch, I had a first, courtside seat to it, and I got to learn from that, and I'm so thankful. So thank you, Jen. She also, when we were little, would time me to go get things. Classic older sis move. I'm thirsty, get me a soda. Me, I don't want to, I'll time you. Tell me when. Literally in the blocks, lined up, and she'd be like, go. I'd run down, get the soda, come back, run up, and she'd be like, oh, 8 seconds. Clearly not even like, the year was 1985. Did we have stopwatches? Who knows? And I bring this story up to say, as the legend goes, I got smart I realized what was happening. And so there was one time where she was like, I'd like a drink. And I said, okay, time me. And she said, go. And I ran down and I got the soda, put a little soap in that thing, brought it back. Here you go. She drank it, spit it out. It was a whole big to-do. And so we were joking, talking about this, and it's like, when I think back on that, I'm like, oh my God, that's like my first strategic move. That's like my first counterplay. That's like they took away my left, I had to go right. And I had to do it fast, because you were timing me. So thank you, Jen. I do have other family members who have been so supportive, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins. Shout out to them. Last, but there's two more people. One of them's y'all in the stands, so hopefully you're awake. Megan. Uh-oh. There's so much I could say. There's so much I can say. You've changed me. You've changed my life. You've changed how I see things. But in reality, really what you did, oh no, was not change me. You brought it out of me. It was in there. I just didn't know how to get to it. And you saw it right away. And this, covers a lot of different areas of my life, but you brought it out of me. And I could 100% stand up here and tell you how much I love you, how much you mean to me, how wonderful it is sharing life with you, having you as a partner. But listening to you talk, I realized part of what has allowed me to have success and be this great athlete or this, person in society, this human, is that I do like to give to others. I do like to invest in others. I do think that's important. I do like to create community. I do like to bring people along. I do like to encourage my teammates and give them confidence and find things in themselves. And I think at times I would lose myself. And so I'm just so thankful to you that I have somebody to come home to and be my vulnerable self. Because a lot of times what you see on the court, the calm, cool, collected, always knows what she's doing, giving crazy eyes to her teammates. We all have other sides. We all have sides that we need to show and share, and I just have so much gratitude for the fact that I have you where I can do that. And I can come home and just be vulnerable, just be exposed. And that's really so wonderful, and I'm so thankful for that, and I love you so much. To the fans, finally, guys, we have arrived. They definitely kicked us off ESPN Plus. We're probably on, where are we now, Holly? We can't be on the app. Are we on the app now? Y'all, you guys are great. You guys are funny. I wish you guys could be with me when you meet me and see yourselves. It's priceless. I have so many wonderful memories, whether it's like little kids who come up to me and they tell me, like, hey, I'm your idol. I'm like, oh, you are? That's so wonderful. I never knew that. The way people get nervous, but the thing that I think is most special is the relationship that we do have with each other. You guys really do know me. I mean, a lot of times in the streets, what I get is just like, hey, Sue Bird. Like, I'm their friend, their sister, their aunt, their cousin, whoever. And that's really, it speaks to the relationship that I think we've built over these years. And, I said last year at the end of the regular season how much you meant to me, how much it's been, oh God, how incredible it's been to grow up in front of you, to share this experience with you. But I really think it's the times that I encounter you guys like in the wild, if you will, that makes me realize just how special it is. Whether it is some, deep level of impact, or you're just meeting me and you're being like, oh yeah, what's up, Sue Bird? Like it's normal. But then there are times, and this is one of my absolute favorite Seattle memories. There are times that go like this. I was at the Pro Club over in Bellevue, because that's where I swim. If you've seen me there, you can say hi. And I forgot my goggles. So you go to clubs like this, these spas or whatever, and a lot of times when you buy things, you have to use like your account. They don't let you use cash. So I go up to the store, I get some goggles, hand them to the woman, a nice little older woman. And she goes, hey, what's the last name on the account? And I was like, Bird. And she was like, oh, like Sue Bird. And I was like, yes. Exactly. So I think we're cool. We're here. We're good. And then she goes, oh, okay. And she goes down to her little, she's typing in. She goes, what's the first name? It's Sue. And she types it in, and then she goes, oh my God. And she goes, she's a little embarrassed. Not really, I don't think she cared that much. And she just went on to tell me that she's not, if I had to guess her age, I would say somewhere in the 60s or 70s. And she went on to tell me that she's not a sports fan. She doesn't watch any sports, but she lives in Seattle. And she watches the news, or she picks up the paper, and so she knows my name. And I think that is so perfect. It's such a perfect way to talk about this relationship, because I did become synonymous with the city. I mean, it's incredible whether you guys see me, awkwardly waving on the Jumbotron because they leave you on there too long. Maybe just like 5 seconds too long. Whether I'm in this building for my 50th time in a row or you see me on the street, you guys show the same love every time in this building, at Rain games or a Seahawk game or a Sounders game or whatever game. You guys always show so much love. It's unbelievable. And I do, in some weird way, feel like, yes, a part of this fabric of the city, but a part of all your lives. And I just don't want it to get lost that the way that you might feel like I impacted you, you impacted me. And that's what I meant earlier, if we go back to the quote. That's what I'm talking about. It's like, yeah, as athletes, we have impact. But you guys are impacting us too. And we have this shared experience, and we have it forever, and we have the banners to show it and to prove it, but it goes so far beyond banners or rings or wins or losses. I mean, we barely remember those anyway, right? You remember these moments. You remember this Pro Club story. I just went to get ice cream around the corner the other day, and some guy was like, hey, Sue Bird, what flavor did you get? And that's all we want to talk about, my favorite flavor. It's just these moments. It's the connection. And that's going to bring me to two of my favorite moments with you guys, and they happen to have happened in the last 2 years. Somehow, some way in 2021, you guys knew what was happening before I did. And you started chanting, one more year. And I have no idea what would have happened if you didn't. There's a one more year. Not on these knees. I have no idea what would have happened. Likely, I obviously could have come back. That chant, you guys did that. You guys brought me back for one more year. I can't even sugarcoat it. And so that's what I also mean when I talk about the relationship. You guys knew that before I did. You brought me back. And then I came back, and I was able to have that final send-off, the icing on top of the career cake, if you will. And it meant so much to me to be standing on this floor, even after a loss, trying to do an interview with Holly, and hearing you guys chant, thank you, Sue. I mean, I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave the floor. I didn't want to leave the floor. And I wasn't, back to the one more year for a second, I never was going to announce a retirement. I didn't really see that in the cards for me. But then you guys chanted the one more year. I thought about it. The season came. And that was kind of like my thank you back. So then to have you chant thank you to me, I was like, no, thank you. But that's what's made all of this so wonderful. For me to feel seen and safe here, whether it was the ball in my hands on the court or whether it was me out in the community, I could always be my ever-evolving self. And so, as I've said, Seattle wasn't always home, but that's exactly what it became. And that's in large part to all of you. And I may have given you rings, some fun moments, some game winners, probably some bonehead moves that you didn't like to. I like to make sure I get that in there. So while I may have given you all of those things, you guys gave me a home. A home. And there's no greater gift. There's no greater gifts The Seattle sports community is so special. I am beyond honored to be a part of it forever, hanging in the rafters. And, you know, on my last regular season game, there was a little girl over here who tried to give me a flower. I was kind of busy, but I'm not busy anymore. And I would gladly accept that flower now. Thank you guys so much for letting me share this. This is from the heart. I love you so much. It's always gonna be us. Thank you. This has meant everything. Thank you.
NCAA national champion, the 5-time Olympic gold medalist, 13-time WNBA All-Star, the all-time assist leader in WNBA history, and a 4-time WNBA world champion with your Seattle Storm. Number 10, join us in counting down from 10 as we prepare to raise Sue's number 10 to the rafters. Here we go in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In the rafters forever here at Climate Pledge Arena, and we will continue to celebrate Sue's career for decades and decades to come. Fans, thank you so much for joining us for such a special day. And now, let's hear it one more time for the GOAT, the legendary number 10.